Right, let's get on with our street talk then. And I was really happy with this week's Coronation Street. I thought it was pretty cool. I saw some people that were a bit down on the Bistro storyline, but I thought it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
It helped for me, the Bistro story, that the two stars of the story, I suppose, were Debbie and Ryan, who were both characters that I really like, both of which are very often, underused in Coronation Street, and to have a whole week basically around their antics was a lot of fun for me. So that, on top of a few other things, made this a fun week. So I'm looking forward to chatting about it today. And I don't know, Abby.
Just getting in a mood because she wanted to sit up here and I wasn't giving her a written invitation.
She literally, we can be, she can be anywhere in the house, and whenever we come and sit down to record a podcast,
she just
comes running down the corridor to say, "Let me come and sit with you in here.
You can't have it without me."
She just loves it. We did have a little bit of a break between the beginning of the podcast and now, spoiler alert. We are going to be starting off with the Debbie indebted storyline, followed straight up by the next shuttle to Weatherfield, because we have got a new member of the Shuttleworth clan, and boy howdy is she good. Up next is the Timperton storyline, followed by, I have to sing this one, Gemma, Leo Canada, and that's what I'll be singing when I wave him off. Bye, Leo.
Do you think that's the tune?
Bye, Leo. Off you. That is the tune.
Leo
Canada. That's how it goes. I know it. I'm in touch with our Canadian listeners here. They're going to be inviting me over to do to be opening the Super Bowl or whatever you do in Canada.
God.
the ice hockey.
Just get on with it.
We are then going to have some leftover stew, which got quite interesting today, I thought. Followed by less interesting summer holiday storylines and the hashtag Kendi, which it looks like they are maybe going to be shipping those two now. You'd have thought. But we only had a little bit of a teaser of that. And speaking of teasers, can I just say, they completely, they got all my hopes up with that little scene of Toya last week, didn't they? Last Friday's episode. I thought, okay, this is just building her up to be a big part in the following week. Nothing. Didn't even get to see Toya this week.
A crock.
I happen to know she's going to be featuring quite heavily next week, though, but I'm still none too happy with the fact that we didn't get to see her this week. Gemma, you are a massive Debbie fan. I mean, I don't know who loves Debbie more out of me and you, but just all week as we were watching this, Gemma was just going, I just love Debbie. Look at that. Look what Debbie's done.
I know, there's a bit where,
it's brilliant.
The bit where she was just like, saw Ryan and she's like, hey, Ryan. And she ran across the
episode.
road. I was like, oh my God, I love Debbie. And you went, hang on, I missed it. And I said, she didn't do anything. She just
ran up to Ryan
Debbie.
in a comedic way. She's so good. I'm really. This is what I was asking for earlier on in the year, isn't it? A Debbie story, because for the vast majority of 2022, she's been nothing.
She's so good.
She's just been hidden away, but she's been psyching herself up for this, and I love it.
Today was definitely a very good episode.
I started. I really enjoyed Mondays and Wednesdays, and at the beginning of this episode tonight, I was thinking, it's not carrying on quite so well. There's a shame because it was a Jan McVery as well. But as the episode progressed, from about the first third onwards, basically when Glenda showed up, I was like, I love this episode now. Isn't she? We will talk about her in a minute. Gemma, we have got the...
Who's going to do this leftover stew storyline?
The leftover stew? Oh gosh, that's going to be you.
Because I think it should be cool. I think we should bring out the fact that there is a bit of mystery meat in this leftover stew.
It is, isn't there?
And
yeah,
it's a
dead meat.
Up dead
woman. So this Bistro storyline, I was kind of getting a bit excited about this last week, that they may have some kind of Ocean's 11 spin on it. Didn't quite go that way. They could have done.
No.
But
a lot of people got mad about this.
Loads of people got mad about this, and I think it was because it was generally kind of fairly unrealistic about what happened, and a various series of things that people didn't check, and would that really have happened like that sort
Bumbling
of thing.
bunch of idiots.
But I kind of took this story as like, if I just sit back and don't think at all, I actually quite enjoyed this. So Gemma, remind us, if you will, what happened
Coronation Street is not always going to be intellectually stimulating, is it?
No, but I mean, I learnt this week that what was that writer that Ryan referenced that was also a builder? The
Friedrich
one.
Nietzsche.
No, I don't know. I was going to say I learned something, but I absolutely learned nothing. Because I even knew the Wizard of Oz trivia about the silver shoes and the red shoes, because that's the one I always like to bring out as well. But, oh well. I don't think I could hold my own against Sean or Todd, apparently, in a Wizard of Oz off.
Or Crentis the dentist.
That was Lawrence the dentist, wasn't it?
His name could be Lawrence Crentist. You don't know.
You're just making office references at me. Right, anyway. Gemma, Debbie indebted. Tell me about her little scheme.
Well, she's on Monday. Ryan is all sad because he wants to go to Ibiza, or Ibiza.
He wants
as
to
you
eat
might
pizza.
Call it. I don't think that's what they do there. Never been. Don't want to go. But Ryan can go.
I can't think of anywhere I'd less like to go away on holiday to, actually.
It sounds
I don't think
like...
they'd let us in. We're
Yeah.
too old.
The impression I get is like it's basically kind of like Blackpool, but everyone's more drunk.
Everyone's drunk. They're like,
And
you,
then
sorry, you do a
parties.
Coronation Street
covered
podcast.
in
Get back on
foam.
that plane. Apparently there are nice places to go as well.
I heard that there are some very picturesque and lovely places. I don't think Ryan's going there to sightsee, is he?
No.
He wants to buy... He wants to...
He's doing his DJing, isn't
He
he?
wants to do his DJ stuff, and he is now beginning to be tempted by the prospect of a heist.
I've heard
So-
Ryan's DJ playlist. It's that Argos music on the ident, isn't it? Ooh, is that from Ryan's DJ playlist?
Why don't you go back to the
They
streaming?
love that over there.
Go back to the streaming DJ sets that you used to do. Raise some money down.
You did that once.
You did it once.
It was like we were talking recently on the Patreon podcast about getting with it with new technology and everything. We missed that one, didn't we?
Yeah, more
Streaming
Ryan
DJs.
DJing.
Or we basically just said that they often will bring in a piece of technology to use for one episode to make one plot thing happen and then instantly forget about it. But anyway, I
So
digress.
this is the thing about Ryan, okay, is that he does have a consistent dream, which is puts him one step ahead of quite a lot of Coronation Street people who suddenly have a dream that's been their lifelong dream, but only this week.
Yeah.
He's always wanted to be a DJ, but he
has.
really cannot apply himself, can he? He just can't do it. If he wanted
stick with it.
if he wanted to raise the money to go to Ibiza to buy into this bar, he could have been doing his streaming sets online and building up a profile and getting in fans and stuff. I can't even remember why he stopped doing it now.
I don't know. I can't
Probably because
remember
Ali
what
went.
happened with it. I just think that it's been the biggest waste not to pair Ryan and Michael up, because those two to me
They
just
could
feel
have-
like they would be a brilliant double act.
They would just egg each other on so much it would be really good fun, actually.
Yeah.
They'd be great. But maybe too successful because Corey kind of needs them to just be idiots that hung around the street. Anyway, Ryan goes to the bistro and Debbie shares the plan for the big...
We'll call it a heist.
Ronnie comes in and Ryan...
It's the beast robbery. Is the technical name for it.
Okay. Ronnie comes
that's
in
good.
and Ryan's told him that Debbie's got a plan for getting compo money for Ed. And he's like, oh, how's that happened then? And she's like, oh, nothing. Don't talk about it. Then Debbie goes and talks to Kevin outside the garage, and he says, oh, I'm so proud of you. You're so honest. You're so outstanding. You're so successful. You're definitely not a lying, sneaking, near bankrupt, fake businesswoman. You're definitely nothing like Ray Crosby. He's such a crook. And also, don't have to worry about you doing anything crazy like Abby does.
You're just so dependable and reliable. Sorry.
This is just the classic Corey.
One of the many things I love about Debbie, but it seemed very consistent with her character this week, is when she came into the show, she was proper dodgy, wasn't she? Because she was
is a bit of
working
a-
sneakily with Ray Crosby.
Yeah.
Basically trying to rip off the street, knock down the terrace, not the terraces, the maisonettes and
nefarious.
everything. She's totally lovably nefarious, isn't she?
I like her, yeah.
But
She's
I
like
would
morally
never
grey.
count her as being a villain, not even in the same
No,
way
she's
as
not a
Tracy,
villain.
yet she clearly, in many ways, she clearly is. It's just if
she's
she ever
out
does
for
anything,
herself.
yeah, she's totally out for herself.
And good for her, I think.
Yeah, but if she were, I don't know how I was going to end that sentence,
Sorry.
but I think she's very much acting in character. I love her.
So,
She's no Kim Tate or anything, is she? We've been saying that we were wanting a female Corrie villain. This is not her, but you're right. She's just out for number one and stuff everybody else, and I think that's very refreshing.
yeah, but she doesn't deliberately get out of her way to hurt people, which
No, she
I
doesn't.
Like. She's just like, well, collateral damage, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's little people. We got sorry. We're not allowed to gush about how wonderful Debbie is. Yeah, that's little people. We got to stand up for ourselves.
so she kind of looks a bit guilty, but not that guilty. Ryan tells Jenny that he's going to sell his DJ gear and go to Ibiza to explain why he's going to suddenly have all this money when he's been complaining that he doesn't have any money. So he goes to the bistro and they've set up this casino there. And Debbie's like, actually, no, I've changed my mind. This is a stupid idea. It's off. I've decided not to do it anymore. And he's like, no, I've sold. So he has sold his stuff.
I think he sold his stuff. I'm not sure.
Why
I
on
wrote
earth
it
did
down
he?
yet,
He's trying to go to Ibiza to buy into a bar because he loves to be a DJ, so he sold his DJ stuff. Okay,
Yeah,
Ryan, you're so
too much
stupid.
about
And you're
it.
not even... Okay.
Can I just interrupt once more with Isn't Debbie Wonderful? Her quiff this week, Gemma. Spectacular. I
Love
did
it.
see GIFs from There's Something About Mary floating around the internet. It's very cruel.
Oh, I don't
but,
care.
I thought
She's
she
great.
looked amazing. And also
she's
with
so
Debbie's
stylish.
hair.
I
I'm still
really-
convinced that, under a certain light, it looks pink. And we said this a few times on the podcast now, I'm sure. I don't think it is. I think there's just something funny with the lighting in the bistro that makes her hair look slightly rose goldish.
Yeah, definitely every so often you're like, is it pink though? Don't know, is it pink?
She could pull it off if it was.
Hopefully she comes along to one of the Corrie Star tours. That'd be amazing.
Oh, there is a Star Tour tomorrow. That's just reminded me. Ooh.
Is there more than one in August?
There's 3 in August. One of them's tomorrow.
Goodness
Ooh, I wonder who it's
gracious
gonna
me.
be.
Interesting. You say it like you don't.
I don't know. I got no idea who it is. No, I don't know.
I really
who
hope
it's
we can
gonna be.
find out.
Yes.
I'm sure people will post. Let us know
Oh, yeah,
if you're
people
going.
will be, yeah.
Okay, right. Shall I tell you what's happening now?
Yes.
Coronation series.
Back to
Okay.
the story.
So he's like, no, I've already sold my stuff, and she's like, well, too bad, and runs off into the office. He chases her in there, and they have an argument, and he says, look, she says, no, point blank, I'm not doing it. I'm gonna have to find Ed's money some other way. Evening starts, and Dev comes in. He's wearing his tux. It's double O Dev. Arlie comes in to apologise to Ryan for having to go in the other day. Why bother?
This was a sort of story that, literally did not need Dev whatsoever. But I think that
Dev
when they were
was
saying,
in.
who do we have in the casino schmoozing around in tuxes and everything, well, clearly Dev.
Yeah, obviously. Dev lives for stuff like this, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Love him.
he was kind of still sniffing around Bernie a bit. Well, didn't they
This
have
is
a
the
bet
thing.
about something? I can't remember.
I
what it
loved
was.
also Bernie was wearing the most unusual dress, don't offend anybody, that I've ever seen in my life. It was like a blouson top with lobster print, and then the bottom half of it was leopard print. And she obviously went into the shop, she's like, oh, that's dead classy, I need that for the casino night. What's more posh than animal print and lobsters? Nothing. Literally nothing.
No.
So, yeah, this is why I like this storyline, because there are loads of characters in this that I really, really like. Lots of fun comedy characters. So, yeah, I don't know why Ali is apologising for having to go at Ryan. To, why bother? You just be apologising all your life then, won't you? So he says, oh, I'm really sad because I was going to go to Ibiza, but now I can't. I can't say why I can't go. She's like, well, you know what? Never give up on your dreams. Promise me that you'll make it happen for yourself. Oh, God. This is
The dream of robbing the beast. Right?
Monday's episode was full of people unknowingly communicating something to characters.
Oh, gosh, yeah, definitely.
James catches Debbie and thanks her for the money that's going to come Ed's way, which is a bit
Right,
awkward.
it's James' line of the month,
Why
everyone.
was James in it? And also, you'd think to yourself, James, mate, your dad's struggling, she's struggling, you are loaded, aren't you? Aren't you
know.
rich and famous?
He is still a rich, famous footballer.
Drive around in a sports car not that long ago? Did you forget that? Because I thought it was quite harrowing at the time.
He doesn't want to give his money. He didn't do dodgy
I understand
electrics
it's
at the
not his
hotel.
responsibility to, but you'd
Bankroll
think...
his dad.
You would think that if you were a rich footballer who had that much money to spare, you would go, all right, don't worry about it, Dad. And actually, how many times have Aggie and Ed been scraping and scrimping?
Yeah.
And James is just like, I don't know.
Maybe that's why he's never in it. Maybe every night
awkward.
he's at the casinos himself or at the
Maybe he's got a gambling
posh
problem.
restaurants or something.
Eating lobster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a bit awkward.
He's too good for the bistro.
Debbie gets a text to meet Ryan in the back, and then on the way, Leanne's like, oh my God, I can barely carry all this money. It's so heavy, even though it's just literally paper money. There's so many millions of pounds. I can't leave it in the safe overnight because of all these millions of pounds.
It wasn't millions.
I'll have to take it to the safe after hours.
The after hours a night safe. They got a special place.
They've got a
they drop
special
their money
night
off
safe
to.
that's down Villain's Alley, probably. And then in the kitchen, Ryan says, no, listen, let's do the plan. I really want to go to Ibiza. And she says, no. And he says, all right then, what about another plan? What if we cut the power, then I rob the safe before Leanne takes it to the night safe? And I'm like, I don't even remember what the plan was originally. Why wasn't it this? Because this seems like
No, the plan was just going to be after it all closes that night. And everyone's gone home. He's going to
I know, but
pinch the money.
they couldn't have done that then anyway. So she's like, oh, I don't know, that sounds kind of dumb. And then she goes back out, and then the lights go out. And she's like tottering around in the bank and in the back going, don't panic, oh my God. And then Leanne falls over and everyone's like,
It's a great moment. I think the only reason it happened is just to delay Leanne getting to the kitchen so that Debbie and Ryan could have a few words with each other. But it was a brilliant idea, and you're right, having her falling over, the glasses smashing and everybody clapping, because that's what we do in this country.
When my nan and my cousin went to France once, and we were in a restaurant in Paris, and we were all eating and minding our own business, and then somebody in the kitchen smashed a glass. Me and my nan and my cousin went, "Rail!" Okay, and everyone was looking at us like we were the most vindictive, evil people. Like, oh, these English, they're so horrible.
An English thing that we hooray when people drop a plate or a glass or something.
Isn't it just though? It's not mean.
I think
it's
from,
to hide the embarrassment of the person, isn't it? It's like to say, don't worry.
It feels like it's something that originates at school dinners or something. I don't know.
Really?
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't think people drop champagne that much. Maybe
at my school.
I was going to say, maybe at your posh grammar school.
I didn't have a grammar school, thanks very much.
What? Where did you go?
Oh no, I'm talking about my school now. Yeah, I went to grammar school.
Yeah.
I don't teach at one now.
No, you don't. You're not clever enough. Right, so, lights gone out. Leanne's fallen over. Debbie says, right, everyone go to the Rovers. I'm going to get an electrician to come and sort this out. So Leanne tells everybody, and Debbie goes and puts the plan into action. So they all pile into the pub. Ryan and Debbie are there as well. And Debbie says, drinks are on me. And people keep going, I thought you were broke. And she's like, don't worry, it'll be fine.
It was Bernie, wasn't it, who was taking full advantage of this free
she
drinks
was like,
offer.
I'll have a beer and a whiskey chaser. And
wasn't it nice to have a really full Rovers?
that was brilliant. Is that one? I don't know. I can't remember if we'd had that before, but I feel like there are lots of post-COVID firsts being snuck in to the show at the moment, and it really is nice to see.
Yeah, the problem with it is that they've probably been able to do it for a while, but they can only really do it if there's a reason for it, and there was absolutely reason to fill at the Rovers that night. And I think that some of the things that they've put in for Rovers for COVID, like the Rovers, they're like, well, wasn't too bad when we could only have 5 people in the room. A bit cheaper on the old extra budget. Let's keep it like that. So I think, sadly, I think it's still going to feel empty for the.
I don't know.
For the foreseeable future.
Who knows? So.
And Jenny's like, oh, I had to choose tonight to let Daisy off work.
Oh yeah, she's all rushed off her feet for filling all these free drink orders. So Debbie gives Ryan the nod, and he sneaks off, goes to the safe, he starts to fill the bag with cash, and then he attacks the handle with a fire hydrant to make it look like he's broken in, and then Leanne...
He still hadn't really thought this plan through, had he?
No. Here's a himbo. Leanne comes into the bistro, she's on the phone to Nick, and Ryan has to hide, and then Leanne's telling Nick, well, of course we checked the fuse, it's the first thing we thought of. She goes into the office, and then she's like, oh, it is the fuse. Well,
yeah, the lights come back on, and Ryan's
lights come on, and he's
Ryan's
hiding in the bar
behind the counter, isn't he?
Debbie asks Ronnie if he's seen Leanne, and then he says, oh, she's gone back to the bistro, and she's like, ah. It's a good job Debbie wasn't invested in making money out of this casino, because she's got no good poker face, does she?
Very true.
Ryan phones the bistro phone. When Leanne gets distracted by the phone, he pops up and goes, oh, I've just arrived. And then he tells her to go and get everyone from the pub while he sets stuff up. So she goes back to the pub and says, oh, Debbie, it was the fuse, let's get everyone back to the casino. And Debbie says, oh, I'll just cancel it. But Bernie's like, come on, everyone. So they all go back. No,
Bernie's there saying, I'll just keep on taking your free drinks then, please, Debbie, at the Rovers. And Debbie's like, I'm going to be bankrupt once more if we keep on paying for everyone's drinks here. So yeah, we better go back and start earning money rather than spending it.
So they all go back, and it looks like they've pulled the whole thing off.
Bye.
Everyone goes home. Leanne gets a message saying the cab for the night safe's here, so she goes to the bank to get the cash. Oh no, it's been broken into. Debbie's like, oh no, it's a crime scene, don't touch it. There's probably fingerprints of the criminal all over it. And Ryan's like, oh no, I forgot to take my foot to wear gloves. Come on, even O.J. Simpson remembered that part, Ryan. So Ryan phones the police to report the break-in, and then on Wednesday...
His mum, the original Bistro Ninja, is just like shaking her head and turning. I'm assuming she's dead at this point and
Yeah,
watching down on him.
sainted Michelle. Wednesday, Officer Craigie is here to crack the case, and by gum, he's going to get
Bloody hell, if I was Ryan, I'd be quaking in my boots at this time. It's like, and
oh, no!
anybody, not Officer Craigie.
He's like, we've got to solve at least one crime this year. It's August, we haven't done anything.
Didn't manage to solve the case of Ted and the crutch. Maybe this is our shining moment.
Well, I don't know if you got Craig. They should have got Craig in on it because he's good at being in on crimes.
He is, isn't he?
Give him a cut. So he's taking statements. Nick reckons it was probably kids. Debbie says, yes, that's definitely it. It definitely was not me. It was children. She goes out back and Ryan's trying to call her and she doesn't answer it. And Ryan's leaving a cryptic message, which is so obvious. He's like, you lent me some weights that are really heavy and weighing me down. Can you come and get them, please? Because they're a bit heavy.
So, you weighing on me. So
Craig goes round to see Ryan to ask him questions and he's like, I don't know anything, which is the most believable thing he said.
Yeah, the lie detector.
Yeah,
it says he's telling the truth. Yeah. He is clueless.
Didn't say anything. Craig says the robber must have known what they were doing. Maybe somebody that you all know, because they knew how to get in and out really fast. There wasn't very much time for them to have committed this crime. So Debbie and Ryan meet up in the Ginnel and she says, look, this is your idea. I told you not to do this. You convinced me to. Ryan's like, don't worry, Craig's got no idea what's going on. And I think we should just like Dumb and Dumber, the crime movie. So it wasn't even, who was it that ends up, somebody cracks a case, and they so Alia's like,
Ed is the one that does like.
Ed sees Debbie in the street and he says, "Look, sorry, I'm not after the cash. I want to know how you're doing because I'm really concerned and I'm a nice person. Have you got the CCTV?" And she's like, "Well, no, the power's out, so we don't have access to it. It wouldn't have been recorded." And he's like, "Don't worry, I plumbed it into a completely separate circuit." And he'd be like, "Oh, what, a completely impenetrable circuit?" Which the lights would have been quite handy to have had on that one, to be honest. So he's like, "Yeah, you can never turn the CCTV footage off ever. It's like, even in the case of a nuclear war, we would have footage of what happened only in the Bistro."
Especially around the safe area. Yeah.
So the camera zooms in on Debbie and she's like, "Oh no!" And this is the bit where you kind of wait for the characters to come up with some ingenious plan that saves them at the last minute. But no, neither Debbie nor Ryan can come up with any way of stopping this from happening, which I actually really appreciated and loved, because this is the sort of thing that happens, isn't it? You sort of watch it and then you're like, "Oh no!" And then you'll see maybe Debbie winking at Ryan and holding up a tape that says yesterday's bank robbery, and then holds up the other tape that says fake tape and gives it to him and he puts it in.
Well, sometimes they just come up with some lousy excuse, don't they? Yeah. Like
she goes, "Oh, I'll just turn the monitor on. Oh, he smashed it on the ground." Yeah. And Leanne goes, "Hey!"
It's usually like, "Oh, it's a break cliffhanger," but no, don't worry, it's
That's
fine.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it wasn't. It was literally just. Like, it was. Yeah. I love this. Everyone was crowded around watching the CCTV footage, and it's clearly Ryan. That was another thing. I was thinking, "Oh, it's not going to be. It's going to be blurry, or he would have hidden his face, or he's wearing a hoodie."
They show the top of the head first,
and it's like, "Oh, Ryan, you dumb idiot! You weren't wearing gloves. You weren't wearing a disguise."
I think I'll just swap cups of tea. I think I've got your tea. This one's got sugar in. There you go, my darling.
So everyone watches and Craig's there and Ryan turns up and just gets arrested. Criminal masterminds all round. Craig's like,
"I did it.
Hooray!
Look, Sarge, I got one."
This was really complicated, but I got to the bottom of it.
I didn't think to check the CCTV myself earlier, but it doesn't matter. I got there in the end.
Yeah, the owner of a failing business tells you that the CCTV didn't work, and you go, "Well, that's a shame." I won't check.
I can't remember whether they had a scene earlier of them telling Craig.
It doesn't matter. So Craig leads Ryan away and he's like, "I was trying to help. I was just trying to help." And Debbie's like, "Oh, he's gone mad. He's gone mad with crime." So they disappear and Ronnie's like, "How come Ryan knew what the code was? Does everybody on your staff know how to get into the safe?" And then he says, that also reminds me that you said that you were going to do an insurance scam.
But, oh, bless them. They're not master criminals, are they?
Debbie's like, I can't believe you forgot when I told you what my favourite flower was, but you remembered that?
Well, I don't expect any better of Ryan, but come on, Debbie.
Debbie was such a that was the most hilarious thing. Just like within seconds, their entire elaborate scaffold of criminality is dismantled by just pulling the stick out the bottom of it. So he heads off. She chases after him, gets him in the street, and very loudly says, "No, I didn't mean it. Ryan did it. I had to go along with it. Don't tell the police." So Ryan's in the interview room. He gets this bit right. He says, "No comment, no comment, no comment, no comment." And the police officer saying, "If you gave the money back..."
But it's silly because it was literally, "We have seen you on the CCTV. Can you confirm that it was you that was doing it?" No comment.
Yeah, but you should never say anything. You shouldn't say anything because they'll just use it against you. They even tell you that at the beginning, don't they? Say anything you say, we're going to hold it against you.
It just make... I suppose maybe it was just because we knew that he was panicking and also guilty as sin that it made... It looked to me like it made him look worse.
They sit you down, Michael, and they say, "Right, anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Who is the nation's favourite actor, and why do you think it's not David Jason?"
I think it's Ryan Prescott.
So, it's very awkward, and the judges will be sympathetic. Don't believe that. Nick and Leanne are telling Jenny about what happened with Ryan, and she's like, "I can't believe it. I always thought he was trustworthy." Well, she's really mad, isn't she? Because he's living there.
Yeah, Jenny's right now.
And he's a thief, which is not fun. And she also has her own business, and he could be in there with his sticky fingers in her till. She wishes. Alia comes back to the bistro to fetch Ryan.
She's already got Leo. She doesn't need Ryan. She's already got one beefcake. Although she is going to be looking out for a new one soon, possibly.
Possibly. Or some snowshoes. So, Alia has been organising something for the bistro that she needs Ryan for, which we'll get to in a minute. And she finds out when she comes to get him what's happened. Ryan phones Debbie, and he's a bit miffed because, also, where is he phoning her from?
It was the police station. It was.
So they're recording him. He's like, "Debbie, you told me that this crime would be a perfect crime and nobody would find out.
I never know how those work.
You're a stupid man.
I've never been arrested, so I
should
don't know how
always
these people got one phone call.
I've got no idea if they do listen, but why would you run the risk of standing in a police station going, "The crime didn't work"?
It was literally, whether or not they're recording it, it was very public area that he was
Here
doing
you go, here's a secret soundproof room.
He was whispering. He was whispering loudly, but it was whispering, and that means nobody heard.
Debbie, you stupid cow! He says to her, "You need to fess up so that I don't get in trouble. And if you don't, I'm going to tell them that you made me do it." And she's like, no. Then none of us will get the money. We're in it together. You need to not panic. You need to just keep saying no comment. Ronnie comes back to the bistro, and he dumps Debbie for being a crim. I think that's rude.
Yeah.
I think it's quite charming to be a criminal. On Coronation Street, not in real life. Debbie goes to number 3.
Brings a bit of excitement to the relationship, doesn't it?
Yeah, doesn't it? It's like, "Oh, we're going to have sex or I'm going to steal your wallet." Who knows? Right, Debbie goes to number 3 with a cheque for 15 grand. Aggie's not impressed because she wants the full amount that she was supposed to get. And then so Debbie rewrites the cheque, and Ed's thinking that Aggie's being a bit harsh.
Yeah, Aggie's giving her a glare. Like, sometimes Aggie's lovely. And sometimes she is just a bit of a cow, isn't she?
She's kind of like Debbie in that she doesn't suffer fools gladly, really, and she's out for, she wants her family.
What she believes she's owed.
Well, somebody's got to stand up, especially if Ed's being all like, "No, don't worry about it, I don't really mind." It's like, well, look, okay, you don't mind now, but when we haven't got any sausages to make that delicious marmalade and Marmite anchovy cake that you love so much...
James clearly isn't coughing up, so...
Yeah, James ain't going to help us, and Michael doesn't seem to be bringing a wage in, even though he goes to work every day. God knows where he goes. Anyway.
He's at the factory, isn't he?
Yeah, but how has he not got any money then?
Because he doesn't do any work, I don't know.
Maybe he gets commission.
Yes.
So, Ronnie comes in, and Debbie scurries off because she feels embarrassed. And Ronnie tells the Baileys that Debbie's too high maintenance, and they've split up. Ryan gets released and goes straight to Debbie and tells her that you better have, you've written the Monet. So he's like, listen, I've decided I'm only going to do this for a priceless work of art.
That was autocorrect.
That's a new heist that they've just organised. He wants his
original,
money.
That's going to be much more money than they
more
need.
than
That's going to
15
be more
grand,
than
yeah.
30 grand, yeah.
So, how on earth was this much money in the safe? That's what I don't understand. How was there £5,000 at all to begin with? It was a little event in a bistro for like a charity. Well, it wasn't charity, was it? It was just a casino night.
Yeah, where presumably everybody would be paying with card. As
paying
in 2022.
With card, I guess, but also, like, are you really going to go down to the local bistro and drop like 20 grand on the craps table?
Yeah.
I don't even know what craps is. I assume it's not what I think it is.
I mean, maybe it's just the characters that we don't know are mega rich. Maybe they're all loaded.
Maybe Double O Dev was like, well, you know what, this was supposed to be my kid's university fund, but that ain't going very well. So he wants his money, which is £5,000, and she says yes, okay, I'll give it to you. Then Ryan goes back to the Rovers and finds Jenny's packed his bags and left them out on the street, and she says, sorry, I can't risk you being here anymore. Eileen comes up and says, what's going on, Ryan? Why couldn't you come to me if you had problems? I thought we were close. And he says, oh, we haven't been close for ages. He looks like he wants to open up to her about the crime, but he can't, so she clops off and leaves him standing alone in the middle of the street. Poor Ryan. I like the way he's like, the fact that I'm about to have theft on my criminal record, in no way will prevent me from presumably emigrating to a foreign country to live on £5,000.
Yeah.
Does he not realise he could go to prison? Is he not going to go to prison for this? I don't get it. He's like, when this blows over, like, what do you mean? Are your friends in Ibiza going to be like, oh yeah, we saved you a spot? Just don't steal any money from us, though. We've got CCTV as well, and it is on a different circuit. On Friday, the Speed Dog crew are not interested in Ryan helping out with the scheme that we'll talk about later because of what a nasty little tea leaf is. Nick has a go at him in the street and wants his money back. He says, give me all my money. And he says, look, I made a mistake. I'm really sorry. And Debbie's like, you know what, Ryan? I believe in you. I think you're a good bloke. Despite everything. And Nick's like, I don't care, give me the money. If you don't give me the money, I'm going to the police. And this is when me and you are like, but you've gone to the police. What? I don't get it.
Yeah, what new information would Nick be telling them?
It's like, he stole my money and he won't give it back. And the police are like, oh, in that case.
Mr. Connor, we let you on bail last night because you said, I promise that I'm going to give him the money back.
And when the film police are like, yes, we've solved another crime without involving the prison system. So, Debbie finds Ryan and says, I found a brilliant way to get out of this, but you need to stick to the plan. And I don't know what this plan is, but basically it seems to just involve don't say anything. No,
the plan, this is what they talk about
at the end of the
episode,
did it?
Isn't it? Yeah, well, no, they say he was coerced into it. Because Debbie goes to the... I must have written this note somewhere else because it's not here. But she goes back to the bistro, doesn't she? And then gets talking to Nick and saying, oh, this doesn't seem like Ryan at all. Maybe he was coerced into this by someone. And at the end of the episode, we got that lovely Ginnell scene later with them walking down there and Ryan's done his part of the plan, which is going to the police and saying, yeah, somebody threatened me and said I had to do this bistro robbing for them. I don't know who they were, but they did name drop Ray Crosby in there, so it may be something to do with him. But that's why I did it, actually.
Oh, okay.
And Debbie's like, brilliant, you've done a good job. Next thing you need to do is act your little socks off when you see Nick, because this is the plan that we're sticking with now.
That's the new plan.
Yes.
Genius.
So, why did people think this was...
Yeah, what's the problem with this?
I think a lot of people... I think maybe people didn't like the fact that it was Ryan just being a bumbling idiot and not checking things, and everybody not checking that the CCTV hadn't worked and just taking it as like, oh, of course it wouldn't work with the camera off, and probably Debbie would know that the CCTV was on a different circuit, I would have thought. And also the whole stuff like we were saying earlier about the bistro safe being packed full of cash when actually it wouldn't be. I think there was an awful lot of suspension of disbelief that was needed in this one, but as you could kind of tell by us recounting it there, we just thought it was a jolly little fun ride, really, didn't we?
Silly and funny.
Very silly. And also very well directed, might I say, by Matt Hilton this week. And it's funny because we were kind of being a bit mean towards Rhys Dinsdale in last week's podcast, weren't we, by making fun of his zooming
Wasn't being mean.
Well, we were just saying that we didn't really quite think that some of his directorial techniques quite hit.
Okay.
Well, we did, didn't we? The zooming didn't work so well. But then this week we had...
said that.
Well, maybe we just thought it. Maybe I said it, I don't know. Anyway, I loved all the Matt Hilton stuff this week, and it was just a little more subtle. And I just love how he manages to find camera angles that nobody else ever thinks of using. Like there was one when Debbie. Yeah, when
the Bistro office from the other side of the desk.
Yeah, is that like that? There was a scene where Debbie comes in through the door, doesn't she, and is like panicking on the other side of the door, and there was just the angle there. It's like, oh, that feels brand new. And then there was one where she was having to go at Ryan outside the Bistro doors, and the camera was down low, looking up to the corner of the viaduct in the brewery. Oh, that looks a little bit new. And then like there was this scene at the end of tonight's episode, the whole of the Ginnell scene with Ryan striding down the Ginnell and Debbie kind of trotting along after him like Penfold going after Danger Mouse. And the whole of that scene was one long camera sweep along the wall there. It was just really clever. It just kind of feels fresh, doesn't it? And it makes me wonder what it is that makes Matt as a director spot or think of doing these things that other people. I guess it's not as easy as you think it is. Maybe it's just actually hard to do. But I appreciated it very much. I loved it.
There's definitely different arguments to be had about making your work sort of indistinguishable from other people's.
Oh, I know.
Or being invisible, like same way that, some writers are a bit more obvious. You can tell he's written some things, and some people a bit more.
It's definitely part of the skill, part of being a team member on Coronation Street to stick with the norm, isn't it? And the way of doing things.
Well, there's different, but... yeah. I mean, and that's why it sticks out and it can be quite effective.
I just didn't think that
when it's slightly different.
I just didn't think that the kind of stuff that Matt Hilton does, and sometimes he does go further than he pushed it this week. But I don't think that when you do it from a bit of a funny different angle, that's out there or different enough to make it feel like, no, this doesn't belong in Coronation Street.
I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying that.
So,
don't know what I'm saying.
I'm getting a bit worried about Ryan. I'm thinking, how is he going to get out of this? Is Ryan Prescott leaving?
I think I was just going to forget he did it, and the police will be like, oh, what's this bit of paper say? I can't read it. I can't be bothered. I'll just shred it.
Are you expecting Ryan to be going? Because he's been very underused, like we said earlier, for a long time now, and it wouldn't surprise me if Ryan Prescott was like, no, let's do this for Game of Soldiers, I'm off, and this could be his sad leaving story.
It could be, but I don't think I thought that is what is happening, but it could very well be.
Before, last week I was thinking, is he actually going to go to Ibiza? I don't know how he can get out of it really, because that even if this plan that Debbie's suggesting now goes through, and he's told that he's coerced into it, would that still get him a custodial sentence? I don't really know how these things work.
Well, Nick seemed to think that he basically is like in control of the justice system, and if Ryan doesn't give him his money back, he's gonna XYZ. Yeah. But you think like.
At the end of the day,
surely, if you could, yeah,
they do deserve to be punished for it, don't they?
Well, they were trying, just because they weren't. Yeah, Ryan was trying to defraud the insurance company. Ryan, and it's what actually kind of worse than what he's been.
Yeah.
Done for, isn't it? Which is just stealing.
Yeah, I think so. It doesn't seem like the sort of thing that you can get a slap on the wrist for.
You can't steal from insurance companies because it doesn't go the other way round. I don't like it.
No, so I think I'm not really sure how they're going to get out of this, but if it is goodbye to Ryan,
it would just be like, who cares? Nick will be like, oh well, bygones be bygones. But my grand's sad, so I don't care about money anymore.
In the same way, I'm not as worried about potentially losing Debbie. I don't think she's going anywhere. Do you?
Really hope not.
I'm like in my head, I'm worried for Ryan, but I'm not worried for Debbie. But I mean,
Yeah, I know what you
who would
mean.
you say is the one that's most to blame for this here? Because it kind of was Debbie's idea to begin with, but equally, he was the one that flicked the light switches. And if she's ever called out on it, she'll say, "Oh yeah, you know, he's the one that set the plan in motion, so I had to go along with it." But at the same time, it's like you're a lot older than him, love. It's your business. You could have said, "No, Ryan, we're not doing it." Oh look, I've switched the lights back on. I think she
Or just go into the room and be like, Ryan, stop stealing money out the safe.
Yeah. So there are numerous times in this when she could have stopped it.
I'm gonna say they're both as bad as each other.
If you were on the jury, though, Gemma.
Yeah, but the jury doesn't have to decide who's worse.
Okay, if you were the judge or whoever, if you were God,
Right, okay.
and you were
I can
deciding
imagine
who to
that,
let
yeah.
through the pearly gates.
Yeah, I say everyone. Just let everyone in.
It feels to me like Debbie should be the one that's bearing the brunt of this.
But she said no, I don't want to do it because she felt guilty.
That's
Because
after Kevin's little
Kevin
chat
was
with
like,
her.
"You're a brilliant, upstanding businesswoman," and she's like, "Oh yeah, I am."
But she could have stopped it.
But she's
That's the
only
thing.
little. What is she gonna do?
Look how
You just
buff
kick her in
Ryan
the
is.
face.
She at any point she could have said, "No, I'm not doing this. I'm calling you out."
She is
on
quite
it.
scary.
Ryan, stop.
She told me not to do.
But
something
instead, she was like, "Oh, everybody, let's go to the pub."
"Oh, for God's sake! I honestly don't care whose fault it is. I know that you find this interesting, and I'm sure lots of other people do. But I haven't got anything to say about it.
Well, I just hope.
I think it's funny.
I hope they're able to evade justice for a long time because it is a lot of funny. And
A lot of
it is a
funny.
lot of funny. It is very funny and very much.
I'm sure lots of
in
people are really
character.
mad listening to us saying.
But I think everybody still does love Debbie. I wonder
She's
whether some
great.
people are a bit narked because they like Debbie and this story has kind of done a bit of a number on
She
her.
is slowly becoming more stupid the longer that she stays on Coronation Street, but I think that's because of whatever caused the sinkhole. I think that pockets of gas have been released.
That were just building up under the Platt's house. And
Yeah,
that's why Gail's taken the brunt of it.
Gail's been inhaling noxious gas for the past 50 years.
I don't know, but no, I think no less of Debbie now than I did before.
No, I don't. I think she's good as a comedy character, and so is Ryan. And the fact that Ryan and Debbie are involved in this kind of clues me into this is not that serious.
No,
And I shouldn't really take it that seriously. And there are loads of plot holes here, like, you know, how come there was that much money in the safe, etc., etc. But
what would Michelle think?
I also
tell you what, if this better not bring Michelle Coffin back to Weatherfield to try and look after her son.
we always bring up the Bistro ninja, but I really have forgotten the circumstances surrounding what happened. Because I remember she did dress up as a ninja. She was all in black. And then she was behind the counter, and I've got this really vivid image of her, like, rifling literally through the till.
Wasn't it
And
Rana
then
or
somebody-
Kate that smashed her
yeah,
over the head with a bottle
somebody
or something?
hit her.
I think it was
and then,
Monicana.
But then what happened? And does anyone know that she was the Bistro ninja? Because
no.
if it is common knowledge, everyone would be like, "Oh, it was Ryan." It makes sense.
I really don't know.
Your mother would be very proud of you.
So just last bit before we move on then. So Ronnie and Debbie are now free agents. Should we be worried that Ronnie's going to be making a beeline for Miss Jennifer Connor anytime soon?
Oh wow!
Especially with the potential of
bed.
Well, yeah, with
Space.
Leo maybe going off to
About
Canada
to.
and Jenny staying behind, because that's another thing I'm not at all worried about whether Jenny's going
I'll
to
be
go off to
surprised.
emigrate to Canada.
Yes.
So I've got a horrible suspicion that they might be knocking boots before long. Do not like this. It's like I've been delaying. How long ago was it? It's just over a year ago, wasn't it, that Jenny and Ronnie slept together? And I've just been going, la la la, no, it's never going to happen.
Well, I mean, Debbie and Ronnie were a bit of a waste of time together.
Well, yeah, that's it. It's another classic Corrie romance that they show absolutely nothing of. We saw a little bit of it in the last few weeks, but certainly not long enough for anybody to care that they've split up. Because
Sorry, my main question is, who's Debbie going to end up with? If she's going to end up with anything. She's already started harping on about kids.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think she needs anybody.
No, I don't think she does either, and I don't think she needs kids. She just get a cat.
I think it's too late for her.
No, you can inherit some.
Don't tell Toya this.
You just marry somebody who's already got them.
Right. That was a good story, everybody. I don't care what you think. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the silly. You do a podcast and say that it was
rubbish. We do care what you think. Let us know. Write in.
I was just enjoying the ridiculousness of it.
It was silly, and it's
I love the characters,
and it's campy too. I just love how camp.
Speaking of which, Glenda Shuttleworth. So it took a while for her to come, and Tony Maudsley on Twitter this week had been saying, "Hey everybody, Glenda's coming into Coronation Street on Wednesday. Look out for on Wednesday's episode." And then on like Tuesday, you had to tweet, "Oh, actually no, it's Friday." So I was all gearing myself up, ready for her on Wednesday. We had to wait a little bit longer, and I was not disappointed.
They really like introducing
how she was
new characters on Fridays.
Did they?
They seem to. They seem to now like introducing new characters on a Friday and old characters leave on a Monday.
Then Monday is a good day for leaving Weatherfield, that's true.
Because the co-writer's like, well, Monday's crap, everyone hates Mondays, Monday's boring. Everyone's sad, let's just put the sad things in Monday.
Not always sad when people go, though, to be fair. Right, Monday then. So Sean's... A lot of this bit of the story for the week was a bit pointless. It's got Sean making a roast for Dylan on Monday, isn't it? But Dylan can't make it back for tea, so everybody else
Can I just say 90% of the time when anybody on Coronation Street is going to make a special meal for someone, you know how this will end.
Yeah, badly. And then extremely badly and painfully for George, because he ends up breaking a tooth on a piece of pork crackling, doesn't he?
Well, we'll give it to Sean.
That was pretty grim. He knows. I can't remember whether you were watching. Did you see him spit the tooth out of his mouth? It's like... It's quite gross, but I suppose it does set him up for what happened later on in the week. Dylan eventually comes back home. He says, "Sorry, I can't remember what his excuse was now, but yeah, he roast pork was his favourite and everything, and he was actually genuinely disappointed that that he let Sean down." So Wednesday, George is off to the dentist to get his tooth sorted out. But then later on, some bloke comes out up to him. I've written comes up to Archie here. He's back from the dead. Comes up to George outside the funeral parlour later, wanting to hear about the premium package. So we're led to believe that this guy is interested in investing in a top package for their departed loved one, but actually he's just some bloke from a rival firm called Rest Easy, nice name, and he's got designs on buying Shuttleworths.
Rest Easy is actually a much better name than I originally gave it credit for.
It is, it's good, isn't it?
Actually,
that's a proper Corrie name.
It's pretty flippant. I don't think I would go with that if I was picking a name, but as far as a comedic chain of funeral homes goes.
The thing is that it does make it sound very corporate and chain-like and very unfamily business-ish.
You can rest easy and rest easy.
Yeah, George has always prided himself on being honest. You know, when Todd came in and started working there and was trying to do all these deals and everything, and Shuttleworths was like, no, we don't do it this way.
George's saying is like, if we're not bankrupt by the time your funeral's over, we'll give you your money back.
Yeah, basically. So anyway, this bloke ends up scrapping with George in the street because he's kicked him out of the building.
Because George knows this guy's come in for a bit of industrial espionage, isn't he? To sort of price up what George is about and try to steal some ideas and maybe convince him to take them on or sell up.
But yeah, sadly for George, Mrs. Pugh walks up the street and is like, "Mr. Shuttleworth." Luckily, Todd is there to take over with her.
Pugh, Barney McGrew, Cuthbert Dibble and Grub.
Thank you. George explains himself to Mrs. Pugh, who gives him a jolly good telling off, because it turns out that because it's been an old family friend, hasn't she? And she knew him and his sister, who I think did his sister even get a mention before today? I'm not sure whether she did. Since they were little, and she says, "You bring shame on the respected name of Shuttleworth. Your father would be appalled at the way that I've just found you sprawling on the street."
I thought her name was Pugh as in pew pew, or like of the Pugh family who invented pews, and so therefore are rich. Because you have to pay them a commission every time you sit on one. I
don't think so, no. I like the idea, though.
So when you pass around the collection plate, it's like 50p for me, 50p for the pews.
It is not that kind of pew.
Okay.
He says, "Look, the Shuttleworth name means everything to me. Sorry,
it's
Mrs.
P-U-G-H, by the way."
George and Todd are in the pub later, and Todd seems very interested in the fact that George is telling them that people like the Rest Easy rep often don't take no for an answer, and they may well be coming back sometime with an even higher offer. And Todd goes at home later saying, I've been rooting around in your bins, and apparently this bloke offered you £400,000 for the business. You nutcase! Why did you turn him down?" And Shuttleworth, George, is saying, "No way! I'm not selling out to these bloodsuckers.
What should I not? I mean,
not a chance.
You don't want a firm of vampires to take over your funeral business, do you? That's just disgusting.
Yeah, they'd be hopping in the coffins, wouldn't they, themselves?
They'd be having naps. Yeah, they just want discounts on beds.
Friday is when it all happens. Todd's worried at the beginning of Friday's episode because he can't find George, and the Pugh funeral is happening soon. The funeral issue, like. Then they see him, and he's staggering down the street. It looks like he's totally plastered, 3 sheets to the wind, and he kind of topples over him, and Todd and Sean, who happens to be there as well, have to hold him up. But it turns out that he's been raiding Eileen's medical cabinet for painkillers for his tooth. And he's taken some pretty potent back tablets that she used to have.
Idea. Tramadol.
Is that what it was? And it's made him
Todd
lose his faculties a little bit. Todd tries ringing around cover for funeral directors, but no good.
Well, there's the supply funeral director is not available.
It's just like teachers. You can't get a supply teacher for enough money these days. No, literally you can't.
Really? That sounds like a job for me.
You could do it.
All right, kids, let's watch telly.
The video. Wheel out the video. Mrs. Pugh starts to ring Todd, and Todd's like, "Oh, sorry, can't, George is unwell, but we've sorted it." And then she starts turning around the corner. She's like, "Well, I'm just coming down. We're going to sort this out now."
Yeah, she's marching towards them.
She's decided that she wants to have Mr. Pugh buried with his trombone now. And
he's going to be cremated.
Oh yeah, that's right. They want the trombone in the casket.
They want to burn a trombone.
Todd's trying to say, "Sorry, we can't really do that." He says that for one thing, the casket was sealed last night, but the people at the crematorium don't like it. But he when he sees her parading down the street, he has to quickly shove George and Sean into the hearse. There. Sean squeezes out of the car later to find Todd desperately jabbering away to Mrs. Pugh. She's quite an intimidating woman. I quite enjoyed her performance. I thought she was a good old battle axe.
I just have this image of like trying to burn a trombone and it making sad noises as the sort of the air from the fire blows around it, because it's quite a lot of wind in there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone in the crematorium is going, "Yeah."
That's why they don't do it, just in case. So then some very jolly looking lady rocks up. She's pulling a little luggage behind her. It's Glenda Shuttleworth, everybody, played by Jodie Prenger, who I didn't know who she was, but it looks like we did a little bit of Wikipediaing of her earlier, and she's done lots of theatre and stage, and she had like.
Speaking of pipes,
like Glenda herself, she has been doing a bit of cruise entertaining over the years, and she's been on like reality TV shows of Listen to Me Sing, Aren't I Great, and a bit of acting as well in the past. So she's an all-round showbiz entertaining type.
She was in the she originally came to fame in I'd Do Anything in 2008, which I think was in a thingy to find people to be in Oliver.
I imagine it probably was.
And she played Nancy then in Oliver the musical, and she also has been in Annie and lots of other stuff.
She's done Les Mis. She's done tons. Done Spamalot. She was the Lady of the Lake.
Yes, that's right. Oh, I love her for that.
Anyway, I had no kind of preconceptions about what she was like, although I had been told by other people who did know of her previous work that she's going to be pretty awesome, and it turns out that they were completely right. And she just rocks up and saves the day, doesn't she? She's like, "I'll take over here. Don't worry, Mrs. Pugh," because Mrs. Pugh knew her from when they were little shuttling as well, didn't they? And she was like, "Don't worry, it's going to be fine. I'm going to sort it. Don't worry about my dad not being here." She even manages to persuade Mrs. Pugh to pass the trombone down as a family heirloom. She is in control. So
I love her so much. Is she the new Abby? Now Abby has turned into a snivelling wreck of a woman who's got a baby to look after. She can't be going around rescuing everybody and breaking into burning buildings and stuff. But maybe Glenda is now the new hero of Weatherford.
God, can you just imagine in 3 years' time, Glenda will just be
Crying in a
buckets
corner.
every episode, yeah.
Going,
not
George, I just don't feel it in my soul. I can't sing anymore. I'm too sad.
So she takes over. She even throws in a free Ave Maria at the funeral, which sadly we didn't get to see.
Can I just also say her get-up was amazing.
She looked brilliant, didn't she? A little top hat with a little veil there.
She definitely appealed to my early 2000s goth, very short goth phase lady that's still living inside me, who thinks tiny hats with veils are the absolute bee's knees. She had a little she had a little birdcage veil, didn't she? And a tiny hat and a cool
big old cravat.
Like a black suit. Oh, I love her. And bright red lipstick too.
Yeah.
She's so glam and she's so beautiful as well.
You're jealous.
I want to be Glenda.
You want to be Glenda. So they go off to the funeral.
Can I say also I think that Nina might like Glenda too.
Oh, maybe.
I think that Nina wants to be Glenda when she grows up.
They could share fashion tips, couldn't they?
Yeah.
So
she can design her clothes.
Sean and Todd go to the Rovers to prepare for the wake, and then they end up getting into a silly argument over the Wizard of Oz, which was kind of funny. I can't even remember how it started now.
I can't remember, but it reminds me, if you guys, I don't know if you've seen this, but if you look on YouTube, there's a video called The Wicked Witch of the East, Bro. And you need to watch it because it is two men having an incredibly heated argument about the Wizard of Oz. And I love it when people get very petty about things like this. It's great.
They're basically arguing over who's the campest, but it's clearly Sean. So I don't think that Todd seems to be the sort to have such a,
well, he doesn't feel
massive knowledge bank of the Wizard of Oz, apart from a literary point of view, because he was a bit of a swot when he was at school.
But he also didn't like the insinuation that he wasn't gay enough to know who wrote The Wizard of Oz. I was like, this is quite funny, but I can't engage in these it's not my humour to joke about, I mean, it's not my thing to joke about.
You know
what I mean?
Yeah.
No, they can joke about it and I can laugh, but I can't join in. Do you see the difference?
Yeah, but tell you who can, Lawrence the dentist. Because this dishy dentist turns up, who's also a bit of a Wizard of Oz buff himself, don't you know? And Sean is just enraptured by how much trivia he knows about the Wizard of Oz, and the fact that the guy who played him also played 5 parts in the film, and when he played Dr. Marvolo or whatever he was at the beginning, had a coat with Al Frank Baum's name in the pocket, allegedly. Anyway, it was all a bit silly, but it was kind of fun.
I know.
And Sean's going a bit goo-go over him.
See, this is how I can tell that I wouldn't fit into this crowd, because I'd be there going, did you hear that rumour about how if you watch, and there's actually one of the little people hung himself from a tree.
Oh, I've heard that.
Did you hear about that?
You'd have really killed the mood if you'd have walked into the pub there and said,
you know that,
well, have I got a fact for you, Sean?
Did you know that the lady that played the Wicked Witch was hounded for the rest of her life by children who made fun of her, and also the dog died?
Did you know that in the field, with the field of poppies scene, it was just a load of asbestos that they were sprinkling over them, and it wasn't snow at all?
Did you know that the man who was the first Tin Man had to go to hospital because they sprayed him with chemicals that made him silver, but also gave him cancer?
There are videos online about how awful
the
treatment of the actors were on The Wizard of Oz. It's the dark truth of the Wizard of Oz film, isn't it? But it's a beloved family classic.
Who played
Judy Garland?
Judy Garland's car, and Judy Garland's in the corner popping pills and smoking and drinking and everyone. And apparently all the actors who played the Munchkin, are that what they called?
Yeah.
Were sexually harassing her. I don't know.
No, this is true. I've heard this.
I've heard these are rumours. Please don't sue me, Munchkin people.
I think the last of the Munchkin actors died just in the last 10 years. I think
literally everyone who was in that film's dead. Right?
We're safe then.
Surely.
Maybe.
But yeah, that would have been me killing the mood in the corner. Me and you going,
Couldn't use any of those facts. So anyway, Glenda then comes in and's like, stop chatting up the mourners. We need the Book of Condolence. But then anyway,
the
Book of Condolence.
Yes.
Anyway, the wake goes swimmingly.
I have a question.
Mrs. Pugh's satisfied. She swans off.
There was a picture of Mr. Pugh.
Yeah,
makes sense to me. But there was also a picture of the Eiffel Tower cut off. Like,
Was
the
there?
middle of the Eiffel Tower. What was the significance of that?
I didn't see that, so I cannot comment.
Was Mr. Pugh French?
He was half French.
Better
That's
not
why it
be.
was the Eiffel Tower cut off.
Sacre bleu.
Anyway, George eventually starts staggering in. He's woken up. He's found out what's gone on. I can't remember what he said he's been doing in the meantime. But anyway, he's like, "Hey, it's Glenda, my sister, who I talk about all the time, honestly."
He called her something. Glenda.
Oh yeah, he did. I can't remember what his little nickname was for her, but he didn't call her Glinda, which... Oh, that's where the Wizard of Oz conversation came from, wasn't it? Sean called her Glinda the Good Witch, and Todd was like, no, it was Glenda, or the other way around. I don't remember. It is something that, when I was trying to think of storyline titles for this week's episode, that did cross my mind, I have to say. Anyway, we learned that she's a cabaret singer on the cruise ships. She's been kicked off because she had it off with... What was the story that she had? She had it off with somebody on the cruise ship and she cheated on someone else that she was bonking around with. Anyway, she's been confined to dry land for quite a while, so she may well be staying in Weatherfield for the foreseeable future.
Hooray!
Hurrah! And then anyway, then Eileen comes in and Glenda tells her that she smells like her nan, but in a nice way, of course.
She's like, "Oh, you smell brilliant. You smell just like... What's that smell? You smell like my nan." Which was hilarious on 2 levels, because number 1, that was a backhanded compliment, and number 2, George obviously has no imagination whatsoever for buying perfume.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
He's like, "My nan smelled nice, you can have this." It's called Tweed.
He probably just kept a bottle of his nan's perfume, didn't
Probably,
he?
yeah.
After he buried her, got all her
God.
stuff. Anyway, so that was quite amusing. But yeah, what a lovely first impression. I was going into it. I'd kind of built up myself to enjoy her because other people had, but in the back of my head I was thinking, oh, but what if I actually don't like her? What if she's annoying funny?
Yeah, I
what
know.
if it's the kind of
I was
comedy
actually
that
a
I was
bit
like thinking, oh,
she's
that
gonna
is
be
really bad.
really in your face, annoying, like everyone must like me, manically energetic.
Yeah.
That's what I was worried. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Because Corrie can do comedy very, very well. It can also do terrible comedy, and I was really worried that it was going to go the other way. But I was absolutely enthralled by her.
Well,
And she was the sort of actor. She was the sort of actor that comes into Corrie, and immediately I worry
Clicks.
I worry. When's she going to leave? How
Please
long?
don't
What if
go.
she's only a short-term character? What if she's only in the programme for a year? I mean, I've got no idea what Jodie's contract is, whether she's got a year one or whether it's a temporary one.
She seems to do lots of different things. So.
She does seem to flit about all over the place, so I'm not foreseeing her as being a long-term.
But I would love it if she was.
Unless she decides, no, this is the place that I want to, settle up for a while, maybe.
When I heard, oh, George has got a sister and she's come and stay and here's his sister and she's great. I was thinking, I don't need George's sister. I don't need this character. I don't know what's the point of this character. George has already got loads of people. I don't see the point. I don't get it. I'm not that interested. But today I was like, George can go. I like her. Keep her. She's brilliant.
See, George has been gradually warming to me. I think at the beginning...
He didn't like you.
That's all right, I've been warming to him. At the beginning, it was like, oh, I'm not really sure. And there's the whole will they, won't they with Eileen that seemed to drag out forever during COVID times. And he sometimes... He sometimes they give him funny stuff to do that doesn't always quite hit for me, but then they've given him some more of the serious storylines recently with the snoring and stuff that have still had the comedic edge, and I found that they've worked really, really well, and the bullying storyline and whatnot. But I think that they are building a really nice little family unit there. Eileen's been massively underused since Phelan almost, hasn't she?
Yeah, definitely.
But in this unit you got Eileen, brilliant, classic Corrie legend. Todd, yes, played by a different actor now, but I absolutely think that Gareth Peirce is wonderful at it. You got Sean, I love him, so I don't care. You now got George. You've got Glenda. That is a really strong unit.
They are
to get some good storylines going.
A lot of potential there. A lot of potential.
Yeah.
Could Eileen become Eileen Shuttleworth? Just so we can make them a family.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the reason is going to be for Glenda staying. Is she going to move into Eileen's TARDIS home? Probably.
Probably, yeah. Well, because she used to work on the cruise ships, and so probably she hasn't got anywhere to stay now.
I'm kind of interested already as well. Like, can she do serious? Is Jodie Prenger?
I don't care if she can. I think she's great as
just comedic. But then you get like Mary, for example, who in many ways is a bit like that kind of character type, who is only there to be loud and funny and, oh gosh, I'm a copywriter and I'm writing a line for Mary. What crazy thing can I have her to say? I don't want Glenda to. Yeah, exactly. I don't want Glenda to go down that route.
Well, I think she's very exciting.
I just love how she took over. She was so confident, wasn't she? That whole performance was like, I don't care. This is my first scene on Coronation
I know,
Street.
she did so well. She just like, she's been in it forever. She immediately clicked with her too. She's so charismatic.
Really
she's got a great presence. And she also had a great introduction too, because like sometimes they'll bring in a character and it was a bit like this, but not to the extreme that they sometimes do, where a new character comes in and everybody's like flailing around like a moron, and they kind of come in and like take over in a really exaggerated way. Whereas she was quite, she just took over, didn't she? She just, in a very kind of very confident manner.
And chill. The correct type of entrance that I hate is when somebody comes in and gets on the wrong side of the person who they're supposed to be good. They're getting the good books of.
Like, you can get lost, you little weirdo. Oh my god, you've just said that to my dad.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, but we're getting married next week and I really wanted your dad to like me. Oh dear, you're going to have to work hard over the next 2 days.
Yeah, that sort of stuff really winds me up. But there was none of that. What a brilliant
Or they tried
entrance.
to shag somebody that they shouldn't.
Yeah, anything. But this was just a character coming in.
That Nick and Tina?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Just don't shag people. That's the easiest way around it.
Tell you what, we have got this. This is one of the strongest contenders yet for the Flaming Nora Award.
She's come in and she's like, right, everybody,
Jenny,
my first
out.
episode, I want to put myself up for Flaming Nora Award. I want to put myself for A-Up Award, and I want to put myself up for the Right Laugh Award, please.
Yeah,
and we're like, yes.
And why not top last when you're there as well?
Yeah, you're in the shortlist for all 5.
I do obviously love Jenny. And it's nice that she's got a story now, but she's been very quiet this year. So it's almost a bit like, we're halfway through the year now. Both Jenny and Glenda have got the next 4 or 5 months to
win over.
Yeah, because I love Fizz. I'd give her an extra vote if I could. No. She's been a major player this year, but I don't think people are going to be voting in their droves for Fizz. So well, this is going to be a 2-horse race between Glenda and Jenny.
We don't know. Somebody else could dye their hair.
They could, couldn't they?
Yeah. Now, if Sean dyed his hair red, what would you think then?
Or we could have Irma Barlow coming back.
Oh, please.
Maybe. Yeah. So, what did you think about the whole? Because we've kind of there were other things that happened in this storyline other than just Glenda rocking up. The whole thing about selling off Shuttleworths, is that going to go anywhere?
This was like the thing that I was thinking. Well, okay, I thought this was going to be incredibly significant and take up a lot of time, and we were going to have discussions and things. No. Is it going to come? It's got to come back, surely.
Todd seems to be the sort that, and I don't know how legally he could do this. You probably couldn't, but Corey doesn't always worry about these kind of things. He could be the sort of thing that's saying, "Oh yeah, I'm working. I'm being the proxy here. I will sell this to you. You just offer me £500,000. Yes, Mr. Shuttleworth is absolutely fine. Look, here's his signature. No, I didn't forge this one." And then he'll try and say to George later, "What? I'm doing it for your best. I was thinking about you."
Don't you want to retire? They said that they would keep the name Shuttleworths.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, who is supposed to be getting this Shuttleworth business when Shuttleworth shuttles off? Because how many years has he got left in it? 10, 15, maybe.
Depends on when he wants to retire, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then
he might not want to.
There are no. I say there are no little Shuttleworths, but we didn't know that George existed until 2 years ago. We didn't know that Glenda existed until today. He probably has got 5 kids. He just hasn't remembered to bring it up yet. But as far as we know, the Shuttleworths legacy will end with him. So Todd may well say, "Okay, you've had a good run. Yes, the Shuttleworth name is important, but this is £500,000 here. Why don't you just enjoy it rather than keeping your principles for the next 10, 15 years and then retiring with maybe a nice little retirement fund, but that's it." So I totally see that Todd could have a point here, but
maybe Todd could become Todd Shuttleworth.
I wouldn't mind it if Todd inherited this business afterwards, because he's not going back to his lawyering, is he?
He wasn't a lawyer though, was he? I realised this the other day. He was a paralegal or something.
Oh, something like that.
A lawyer for ghosts. Yeah.
So I don't think that they will sell it, but I'm sure Todd will do something.
They're not going to sell it, but Todd is going to convince him, or he's going to go behind his back and do something nefarious, and then George will be very disappointed in him, and then everyone will be mad at each other, and then Eileen might kick everyone out again, and then the next episode she's making Cumberland pie for everyone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also, how's Glenda going to be involved in it? Like, I've got no idea what Glenda is actually going to do now.
Yeah,
she's swanned up and been fabulous, but now what?
Yeah, Glenda's like, I sing on a cruise ship, but she's also a really, really good officiant.
Celebrant.
You don't celebrant at a funeral. It's
Yes,
just
you
rude.
do. You totally celebrant at a funeral.
No, it's rude.
I know somebody who's a funeral celebrant.
No, I think that's wrong. I think it's morally wrong. I think you should cry.
So
she's got this skill, and she's obviously grown. She obviously grew up, and her and George worked with their dad at some point. But does she have her own business, or did she come back? Is she like, I'm fed up with singing on cruise ships, I want to settle down, I want to take my half of the business? Does she own half of the business?
Very good point.
Is she going to say, oh, you know what, actually, I could take 200 grand?
Yeah, maybe. Do you think we're going to see her singing on the programme?
I was disappointed I never got to hear her beautiful voice singing Ave Maria. Can't believe it.
I'm going to put it out there now. Christmas 2022. Song at the end of it.
Oh, yeah,
Glenda belting it out. She's like, sorry, Rita. Pushes Rita over into the snow.
It's like, I'm a new redhead around here, and you're singing redhead. Get out of my way.
They could have a sing-off, couldn't they? Glenda and Rita at the Christmas special.
Rita will start going, I'm dreaming of a white. Yeah. And then Glenda will be like, that's boring. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock.
Not too late to put that in the Christmas script. Do it.
Come on, Corrie. That's what we've demanded now.
So I don't know what she's going to do. Are we going to set her up with a guy? Or a lady? We don't know.
She said that she
she is definitely into men, isn't she?
Well, she's definitely into men, but doesn't mean she's not into women.
I don't know. She'd eat anybody for breakfast. Like all of the men on Coronation Street. I don't think any of them could take on Glenda.
I'll tell you who thinks he could try.
Oh.
Dev.
Yeah.
Dev and
Glenda. Oh, that could be fun.
Oh.
I can't remember which other single guys there are on the street.
Well, Dev's not technically single, is he? Because him and Bernie are sort of on again, off again.
Yeah,
Ronnie?
Who knows? No.
Now he's
Although
free.
he does like a redhead, doesn't he, old Ronnie?
Yeah.
I don't know, I
think Leo might be free soon.
How old do you reckon Glenda's supposed to be? She seems significantly younger than George, doesn't she? So Archie was clearly very active up into his late life.
Keep breeding.
What a player!
Shuttleworths.
We did see that with Blanche, I suppose. But anyway, we must move on. We love Glenda. Did you notice that? And here's somebody that Gemma loves. Tim. Tell us about what Tim's been getting up to this week.
She's only a few years older than us.
How old is she?
She is
40.
In her 40s.
In her early 40s. She could be our friend. I think she'd be too scary. I think she'd think we were weird.
I don't think she'd like us.
I don't think she'd like us.
Not cool enough for her.
Maybe she's a massive geek as well.
She's too beautiful.
Oh.
Right, is this my go?
I like singing. I'd duet with her.
If you guys are going to do that, I'm going somewhere else. Is it my go?
Yes, you're going to talk about Tim and his little problem.
Well, before we have that, we have another thing to remind us that Faye is having her issues, and her and Sally do anti-menopause yoga, and then they talk about the menopause, and she says, I'm doing soy milk, and I don't want to take pills because it's not natural. And then Sally talks to Tim about HRT, and then she says, oh, I'm going to show you this thing about HRT, and then she goes to what was the website that he looked at?
Who, Tim?
What was it called?
What, the naughty website?
Yeah.
It was just Naughty Videos 101 or
That's
something silly like that.
I just wonder, what does she writing in that HRT comes up with N? Is she
she
natural HR? Hang on a minute.
No, she looks through his temporary internet files, doesn't she?
It would have been.
That would have been funny.
She's like, Tim, This is porn. I can't believe I taught you to read and you've done this to me. If she hadn't taught him to read, then he would never have been able to use the internet.
Very
to
true.
look up porn. So we need to think about
He can now use the excuse, I'm just reading the articles, I'm just reading the stories,
reading
it's
the
not
story
to do
like
with
you taught me.
pictures.
Right, so he said I was testing my equipment and I did it for you and not for me, which I thought was the most hilarious excuse I've ever heard a man use for looking at porn. She's very upset about this and she thinks he doesn't fancy her anymore, and she gets mad and tells him to go to the casino by himself, so he does. And then Dev he goes to the pub and he talks to Dev, and Dev's like, leave her alone if she told you to. You should just stick around here for a bit longer. So he ends up going back home quite late, and Sally's gone to bed and she leaves him a note saying that he can stay in the spare room. But he doesn't, he goes to sleep on the sofa. And wakes up there on Wednesday, and Sally doesn't want to talk to him, rushes out the front door.
I hate it sometimes when me and you have little fallouts, and you do this, don't you, and you don't want to talk to me, and because I was totally like feeling bad for Tim tonight, thinking, or Wednesday night, going, oh, it's horrible when that happens, but he has been a bit going behind Sally's back, I suppose.
At work, Faye can tell something's up with Sally, so she says, oh, there's something wrong with you, and something wrong with you and Dad. And Sally's like, oh, well, not if you ask your dad. He's loving life. So Faye goes to talk to Tim and says, you need to sort it out. Because Sally was going on and moaning all the time. And she's got a cobble on. You need to, whatever you've done, undo it. She goes into the cafe and Aggie turns up. And then Carla's trying to find models for their underwear.
This is a funny
This is
scene.
really funny.
Well,
yeah.
she's just looking at pictures of scantily clad women.
Because they're selling
bras,
underwear,
that's
aren't they?
their job.
They're not selling women, they're selling underwear to women. And the women want to imagine that they look like these models.
Yeah.
So she's looking at pretty people. And Sally's like, oh, I can't believe it. You're looking...
So degrading.
So setting unrealistic beauty standards. And then Tim comes in with a bunch of flowers. And Carla's like, Sally, you've gone a bit crazy. Go with Tim. Because Carla's like, what are you talking? I don't get. What do you mean?
Yeah, but there's probably pictures of women dressed up like that all around the office, aren't there? There definitely used to be in the underworld heyday, with scantily clad women all over the walls there. But
so they go home and they have an argument because Sally does not like the idea of him doing things like that behind her back, and says that they should be working the problem out together. And Tim says, it's not our problem, it's my problem. And Sally says, well, I need some time apart from you. And she says she feels very lonely and she doesn't want to give up on them as a couple, but she's not very happy. So somehow, for some reason, Aggie and Tim go to the gardens together, and he starts to open up to her about how he's having trouble in the bedroom since the operation. And Aggie says he's got some kind of mental block, which is exactly what the whole point of what Dr. Gaddis told him was. And also, they went to a sex therapist. Wouldn't they come up with this? They only had, as far as I can tell, they had one session, and the advice was don't touch each other ever again.
oh yeah,
So that didn't go very well. So she
they
says...
also had the donkey sanctuary lady.
she didn't
She was
help.
no help, no. These donkeys are
She's
setting
like-
unrealistic standards for
She's
know
like,
what
to
size.
be honest, as far as donkeys goes, we try to keep them apart from each other because the last thing we need is more donkeys. So, Aggie says, what might be at the root of this? What makes you, how do you feel when this happens? And Tim says, actually, you know what? I just get the feeling I'm going to die. I'm going to collapse and die. And he has this breakthrough and he rushes off to tell Sally that he solved the problem and everything's going to be okay. And on Friday, looks like it worked because Sally and Tim had a great night. So Aggie sees Tim out the front later and he's still pretty happy with himself and he's wearing comedy Sally's dressing gown. And she says, oh, I'm going to be reading my book in the gardens around 1.
If you want to come and talk to me about what a great night you had with Sally
I know.
last night, I'd
This
love
is
to
like
hear it.
the worst chat-up line I've ever heard. So, they meet up in the garden and Aggie gives him a book about what happens when you die. Which is like, surely nobody knows. How have you found this?
It's just a book about death, isn't it?
Well, he tells Sally later that it's a book about what happens after you die. It's like, well, they've already written it. It's called the Bible. So he says it's going to be like aversion therapy and it's going to make him feel better.
Well, he says that, and that's literally parroting back what Aggie said as well.
Yeah.
Because Sally says, where did you get it from? And
he's
says
like, I got it from the library. Yeah,
so he's being very sneaky and not revealing that he's got a confidant in Aggie.
Yeah, which is stupid because it's going to come out.
It's going to come out, but it makes sense because wasn't he was mad when Sally told... I can't remember what happened.
Yeah, he did.
Sally told somebody or other about their bedroom problem. Gail, that's right. So if Tim's... He'd be like being a bit hypocritical if he admitted to Sally that...
to say...
But he thinks it's his problem, but it is both of their issue for together, isn't it? So.
It's all going to come out when she opens the book and the dedication page says, from Aggie to Tim, hope this helps you with your boner.
I just thought it felt like Aggie saving the day there with her advice about you've got a mental problem seemed like a very quick and easy solution to it, and it's the sort of thing that maybe he would have thought of before, or someone else would have mentioned.
Other people have tried to help him, and you would have thought that they would have been able to come up with this where it's that simple, but no, I guess not. But I'm
Aggie's
not
got a
happy.
magic touch.
I'm still thinking, why are we having this Aggie and Tim friendship? Like, I would love to believe that Coronation Street is just trying to promote people have been able to be friends.
Well, you know what Peter Barlow did tell Ken this week, didn't he? Women can't be friends.
He did. No, he said no. Men and women can't be friends with each other. Yes. Women are perfectly capable of holding friendships.
Then men come along.
Peter Barlow.
I wonder whether it's just going to be a story. Maybe it's not going to be an affair, but maybe Sally's just going to suspect they're having an affair. But they kind of already did that story. It was Anna that was teaching Tim to read, wasn't it? And that's when Sally...
Was it Anna or Sally? I thought it was Sally. I thought it was Sally because she's like, no husband of mine's not going to be able to read. You need to be able to have a business. There
was definitely something that went on around that time where whoever it was with Tim at the time, and he's only been with Sally, hasn't he? Where she suspected that he was having it off with Anna Windass or something.
I don't remember.
I wonder whether it's going to be a little bit like that. Because... although Aggie has kind of mentioned and dropped it in that things aren't brilliant with her and Ed at the moment, and yeah, Ed was giving her funny looks when she was being a bit harsh with Debbie earlier in the week and everything. I don't know. It doesn't feel. She doesn't seem like the sort of person that would drop him for Tim.
Well, Coronation Street doesn't care about
that. I don't know.
There was a funny scene. Was it Wednesday's episode where
I know what you're going to talk about.
Sally was scrolling on the laptop and she's going, oh
yeah,
look at that, yeah, and then it turns out she's scrolling through kitchens.
That was so funny. That was really,
that made us laugh.
That gave us a proper out loud laugh.
Yeah, that was just Sally
episode.
And we mentioned it, and then Matt Hilton, who was the director, said that wasn't in the script, but they thought it was funny, so they put it in, and it was hilarious.
It was so good. I wonder, I think they could have taken it even further though.
It wasn't in the scripts. There's only so much you can do.
What I would have liked to see,
right,
if I was Matt
Hilton,
and I know he likes to get his advice from people like me.
Yeah,
I might have had a scene earlier in the episode.
Okay, good, yeah.
That was framed in exactly the same way. Literally, you see like the table.
Yes.
Tim comes and sits on the seat. He opens up the laptop and then he starts making his noises, whatever. And then you have some really close cuts to his eyes looking furtive and everything. And then they use exactly the same shots for Sally later on. So it's literally a one-to-one replication of the Tim scene.
Yeah, but no, we didn't need that.
And then the punchline is, no, she's looking at fancy kitchens. Okay. That's how I would have done it, but maybe that's why I'm not a director.
No, because it wasn't in the script, and also the whole point of it was that he didn't need porn in the end. He needed to stop thinking about dying.
Yeah, no, I know, but he had been looking at it up until just recently. Anyway, I thought it was a very, very funny, and I don't know whether as many people picked up on it. I don't know. It was great.
It wasn't subtle, Michael. It wasn't like a secret joke that only we got because we know that kitchens are sexy.
Right, Leo Canada. So, I was a bit disappointed.
Are you getting more and more embarrassed with that as you keep saying it?
I'm not. I'm not all of my storyline titles are 5 out of 5 zingers, Gemma.
True.
We know this.
True.
We've been going 10 years of these. So this isn't one of my best. But anyway.
Go on.
I was kind of hoping this week that Leo was going to turn out to be massively dodgy or have some horrible secret or whatever. But as the week went on, I thought, he is doing something honourable, isn't he? So
Leo,
it's a bit sad.
Boring. Also, I thought he was applying for jobs and he didn't want to take a job because he was making his own craft beer.
Yeah,
And
but
then he mentioned it in his interview, and he reckoned that got them interested. So whatever job he's got now, he's only had it for like a month or 2 months.
Yeah, which
I'm just
Jenny,
saying.
yeah, she brought that up today when he told her that he was leaving it, that he's only just started it. But he's doing some kind of manly
He's doing some
builder
boring,
job.
supervising, same job that he was doing before, where he missed a whole sinkhole that swallowed up the street. So I don't know who's employing him.
They're better off without him, really. So anyway, he gets a voice message on Wednesday from someone who's getting married at Christmas in Las Vegas, and it's a bring your bird, isn't it?
BYOB.
Yeah, exactly. And Jenny's so excited about it. She's like, oh, it's been so many years since anyone's called me their bird. She's but Leo kind of pouring water over it. He's seeming like he's not interested.
Infuse.
He's not joining in her excitement about a Christmas Vegas wedding experience.
Well, she starts going on about booking flights at Christmas to go there, and he kind of like, nah.
Yeah, exactly. But it turns out that there is a reason for this, which we find out on today's episode. But anyway, he goes off to work, comes back later on covered in muck, and because he's got this manly job. And Daisy and Jenny are there having a laugh at the prospect of Daniel being a roughy-tufty labourer like Leo as well, because he's not having any luck in the employment department.
Yes, because if you had forgotten, like I had, he quit being a teacher.
You had forgotten that, yeah.
Because
because
he pushed the kid down the stairs.
That's right, and
he didn't notice that the kid.
Was that the reason?
He pushed the kid down the stairs, and he didn't push the kid down the stairs because the kid was drugging people, but he pushed him down the stairs because he had a vendetta against him. But if he had pushed him down the stairs because he was drugging people, that probably would have been the right thing to do. So he did the right thing for the wrong reasons.
I think there's more to it than that, but I can't remember. It was another one of these stories that was just... I was kind of invested in it when it happened, and then we just say, and anyway, Daniel's quitting teaching at half term, and we didn't even see his last day of term or anything, and he's been off the radar since then. I'm
really annoyed at how much they invested us in his bloody teaching career and him teacher training and sitting around with all his goddamn books all the time and whinging on about it and going into school and forging his relationships with all the students and the teachers or whatever, and planning trips and stuff, just to go, nah, I'm sacking this off, and then that's it. He's not doing it anymore. He's got he must have a student loan from doing all this. How's he paying this off working as a labourer?
I don't know. But anyway, this is what he then goes on to do. He says,
so actually, I can be a
roughy-tufty man.
And
so he goes off and he comes back later on similarly dishevelled and sore, and Daisy says, look, you made your point, well done Daniel, you can be a builder, you don't have to go back again then. And he says, no, I'm not giving up this easily. So he gets up in the middle of the night. We start off today's episode with a nice nighttime scene, don't we?
Well, he's been staying over with at the Rovers with Daisy, hasn't he? Because I was like, why is Daniel in the... Why is everyone there? Why is everyone here now? What's going on?
And he's there in the middle of the night with a bottle of cloudy lemonade for some reason.
Yeah, and taking drugs.
Yes.
Because he'd hurt his shoulder. But I just want to point out, they did explain that Bertie was with Beth and Kirk.
Yes, they did.
So that's why he's suddenly fancy free without a kid. Also, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know enough about it. Surely, being an unskilled labourer, you're not going to earn enough money to cover your childcare.
No.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, he's still
also your student loans that you've got to pay back now.
Hasn't he got that house? That
maybe
Denise
he's renting
gave him.
the house out.
Yeah.
Maybe he's like, I don't work for money, I work for fun.
Anyway, who should come in also in the middle of the night wearing a very natty suit? But Leo, what's going on there?
Why is he being so evasive?
Exactly. And he's saying, I've just keep your nose out of my business, basically.
Shut up, Daniel.
So,
but in a nice way. He kind of laughs it off.
Away, yeah. So later on, everyone's having a lovely full English breakfast, courtesy of our Jenny.
Daisy was eating some kind of horrible granola.
You don't get that figure with sausages and egg, do you? Daniel mentions the suit. I can't remember how he brings it up, and Jenny's like, "Oh, I've never seen Leo in a suit before. Would like to. I bet he looks really hot." But she doesn't kind of pick up on what Daniel's saying, that Leo was doing something suspicious last night. So when they're left alone together, Daniel tells Daisy exactly what happened last night, and they wonder, is Leo cheating on Jenny? So later on in the Rovers,
and worse, not just cheating on Jenny, but cheating on Jenny with a posh bird.
Exactly.
How rude.
Jenny admits to Daisy later that she loves Leo. Daisy looks worried and says, "Why? Yeah, have you ever got any similar vibes back from him where you think he loves you? And Jenny says, well, he clearly does love me, doesn't he?
He wants to
and
go to
Daisy's
Vegas.
like, oh, but he's a nasty, rotten cheat. He's Leo the lion. That was what that was what the storyline title was going to be if it turned out that he was lying, but it wasn't.
Oh.
So Daniel and Paul come back to the Rovers. No, they're at the back of the Rovers. They're having a drink in the smoking area, aren't they, after a hard morning's work. And Paul says, oh, I overheard somebody today that it was Leo's last day at work. And then he goes off for a waz. And Daniel and Daisy comes over and he tells her about this latest development that he's just uncovered.
So Paul, we know that Paul is a builder.
All the builders are working together on this one thing, whatever it is.
Well, Paul can't work for
Ed at the moment, can he? Because Ed's out of action.
I assume that there was definitely something I missed where Paul was talking about being a manly builder, and I was like, I don't know what's boring here.
Anyway, Jenny has been invited out to the Bistro later on a spontaneous date with Leo, and obviously she's chuffed about this. But Daisy says, I can't bear this. I don't want you to get your hopes up because I think you're going to get dumped tonight.
Yeah, because he's quit.
Because he's quit his job. I think he might be moving away or something.
He doesn't want
this,
me to go to Las Vegas.
Yeah. And Jenny's like, what the heck? He's leaving his job. Why would he do this? He's only just got the job. And she's absolutely gutted, but she's determined that she's going to find out what's going on, and that she does. In the bistro later, she's sitting there very, very miffed behind a massive bouquet of flowers.
I love this as well.
Leo's got her.
Nick comes over and he pours like a centimetre of wine into Leo's glass and makes Leo's like, go pour the rest, and Nick's like, no, taste it. You've got to taste it to see it's cooked. So Leo drinks some of it and he's like, yes, it's wine. And then Nick like gives them an inch of wine each and then says, do you want anything else? They're like, no. And he just walks off with the wine. He's like, I wanted more than that. That's not even a glass of wine.
Yeah, they get a thimble for each, don't they? Anyway, Jenny eventually can't bear to keep this in any longer, and she's like, right, Leo, I've heard that you've been sneaking around at night in a suit. What's going on here then? And he says, I was going to tell you tonight. And she thinks that she's going to get dumped. But no. He has a new job in Toronto.
In
Toronto, as we were told a few weeks ago by Stephanie. That's how you say it. But he said Toronto. So
he's going to get kicked right out.
Exactly. No, keep him. Please keep him, Canada. Just
move somewhere that you can
don't want him
stay.
back. Anyway,
like Calgary.
He says, I'm going to Toronto. I want you to come with me. And then we can. This is why I didn't want to book the flights to Las Vegas the other day, because now we can book them from Toronto to Las Vegas, and wouldn't that be fun? And Jenny's just kind of left reeling by this revelation and the fact that she could well be soon emigrating.
And also, why?
What?
So many things.
Tell me one of them.
Well, it's like, if you're that serious about this woman, why did you not mention that you were applying for a job in Canada? Like, I would be furious just from that basic element of, okay, well, why did you not talk to me about this at all? Why would you assume that I would drop everything? Does she not own this pub?
Yeah.
It's like, I own a pub. This is what I've wanted to do. This is where I live. This is like, I grew up around here. All my family's here. Like, Rita's probably going to die any minute. Can't leave her.
Can't take Rita to Toronto.
I can't take Daisy.
We'd lose her in there. Can't take her to Las Vegas at least, because she'd
just run off and become a lounge singer.
Yeah, she would.
She'd be on the stage with Britney.
Britney Spears, yeah.
Yeah, and Britney'd be like, she's so cute. I love her. She's like a tiny grandma.
Yeah.
So that's all, and yeah. And why also do they not have people in Canada that totally ignore sinkholes as well? Is it a special skill that only Leo has?
I don't know what the job is. I can't remember. But
supervising holes.
I think,
and it's still a bit mad as well that Coronation Street has never brought up that really Jenny should be a bit mad at Leo that he was supposed to be in charge of the sinkhole that killed her ex-husband. That would kind of cause me a bit of grief, I would think. I would find that hard to go with. He doesn't seem to be guilty about it as well. He's never like gone, ooh, my bad.
I don't know whether they.
Not enough for me.
Remember. I guess that Jenny is now she's only just realised that she loves this guy, and now she has to say, well, how much do I love him? He's still not said he loves her.
He obviously doesn't love her enough to consult her about whether she wants to live in Canada. And also, now he's put her in a difficult position, hasn't he? Because she's either going to say, no, I don't want to go, and then make him choose between her and his job.
Yeah.
Like, why?
What would he choose? Please be the job.
Boring
Please be the job. When he said, "Oh, I've got a new job," I was like, "Oh, damn!" Because I really wanted you to be a cheating scumbag. And then he said, "It's in Toronto," and I was like, "Yes, brilliant!
Bye.
Off you go. Bye." Rip up your passport when you get there, Leo. Sorry, this character has just not worked at all, has he? He's not in it enough to be boring. Has he been in 10 episodes this year? I'd be surprised if he has. He has got no personality whatsoever. I just don't get what Jenny sees in him at all, apart from he's young and buff.
If you can sum up a person's character by saying he's handsome, that's all you need to know, isn't it?
They've not given. I'm not complaining that they've not given him any screen time this year. When he came back, when was it, last Christmas or so, and swept Jenny off her feet, I was like, oh no, I don't want Jenny and Leo to get together. But then in the back of my head, I was thinking, well, at least it's not Jenny and Ronnie, which I'm also not too thrilled with the prospect of that still maybe on the horizon.
But I also, can I just say another thing
just bring back Johnny from the dead. Let's just say it's all a mistake and a misunderstanding, and he's actually fine. Where's Johnny's twin brother? That Connor clan is vast, isn't it? Surely there must be another Johnny Connor lookalike in there.
Yes, surely.
Were you going to say something then?
I was going to say, they brought up quite a lot of interesting stuff, like relationship dynamics that have not been talked about, that I can remember recently anyway, with other couples, that would have been quite interesting for them to have pursued or gone over in a bit more depth, you know, the age gap, and him saying, you know, her saying, well, I could never give you children, etc., etc., and, you know, I feel like I'm too old for you, or you really want to give up your life, sort of thing. It'd be interesting if Jenny said yes initially because she felt guilty, because she's thinking to herself, oh well, because of me, you know, if we stay together forever, then he can't ever have children because of me. So for that kind of tit for tat, then I should go to Canada because that's his dream, and I've already stopped him from doing another thing.
It's a dream that he's had for the past 2 minutes.
Right, you know what I'm saying?
Classic
like
Corrie.
There was that very interesting, very briefly kind of explored, but I think they could have done a bit more of it, talking about Jenny and Leo's actual relationship. But it just seemed like Jenny was like, oh, I feel like I'm a bit old for you, and Leo's like, well, I don't care. And that was it.
Yeah. Anyway,
do you not agree with me?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, I agree. They've not wanted to develop it at all. This relationship.
Also, they tried to make him have a personality, and he just made crap beer.
I've got no concerns at all about Jenny going. She is not going to go and emigrate to Canada. Maybe she'll go for a little bit and then come back, but I don't think so. Leo, though, Do you reckon he's going to go? Is this going to be bye Leo? The actor who plays him, Joe Frost, is it? His contract's, if he was on a year contract, that is going to be up in the next month, because he first came into the show in September last year. So it kind of all lines up nicely.
To be perfectly frank,
could be going.
When Leo said, I'm going to Canada, do you want to come with me? I thought, oh, that's how they're getting rid of Leo.
It just seems like a complete nothing of a character, like a total stopgap.
And then again, when he said that, and that thought went through my head, I thought, well, what was the point of Leo? Like, what were they trying to do here? Why did they bring him back? It feels
like nothing would have been different in the whole programme if Leo hadn't been brought back last Christmas.
Right. You're completely right.
There's been a couple of scenes with him in. It's really baffling. I don't know what's gone on there. Something has gone
wrong. I have to say that having a place in the Rovers is an honour for a character. Okay, so somehow Leo's kind of got his feet under the table here. He's not actually the landlord, obviously, but he's dating the landlady of the Rovers. So I feel like he's been kind of put into this position he hasn't earned at all. He hasn't done anything with it apart from brew terrible beer.
Yeah.
It just feels like there are other people that could be in this position who are much more interesting and deserve it more than he does.
He's a bit like, in that sense, he's a bit like old Charlie Whelan. Do you remember who went out with Bet for a while and took her to the Dolly Parton contest?
Yeah.
The guy with the big tracker.
Yeah,
who was also like, what are you doing there dating Bet Lynch? Hang on a minute.
Who do you think you are?
You haven't earned this place here. But at least they had a bit of a story, and he went off with Tanya Pooley in the end.
Yeah.
Leo, what is the point of this character, honestly? And yeah, being in the Rovers is an absolute honour of a position to be in. yet still, they're not doing anything with Jenny, are they?
Yeah,
Like,
they
I could kind of get it during COVID times,
They're
but why haven't they given
there.
Jenny a story this year? They're getting there, but I just don't get why
Well,
they're not giving her oodles and noodles to do.
More Jenny, more Daisy. Get rid of Leo. He's boring.
Oh yeah, Daisy is still absolutely loving her. The 180 that I've had with Daisy from this time last year is quite spectacular.
I know.
I think that every scene that she's in, it's like, oh yes, it's a Daisy scene. Oh, Daisy's going to say something
She's
here.
grein. She's even wearing her own crown today.
I adore Daisy. Daisy Midgley. More of her, please.
And
Daniel
she's so great with Jenny too.
At the beginning of the week, I'd forgotten that Daisy and Daniel were a thing. I just can't.
Why is Daniel farting around on a building site? You just know that everyone's there working and he's like picking up one brick and going, oh, just imagine the civilizations that have been built brick by brick by people throughout the millennia. What really is the difference between us and those who built the pyramids? Like, shut up, Osborne.
And then they poured a bucket of cement over him, and that's why he came back like that.
Remember when they had the hazing with Gary and that lot of bullying and making that person hold a...
Oh yeah, it was Seb, wasn't it?
Do that to Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah, bully him.
We do not condone.
Don't condone
bullying. No, but I'd forgotten what the relationship status was between Daniel and Daisy, because, well, they just don't show it. The Corrie just is really, really bad at doing relationships sometimes. There should never be a time where viewers forget who's going out with who. And it's not just because I'm pushing 40 and my brain's not as good as it used to be.
Oh dear.
It really happens a lot that you think, are they friends? Are they
I know.
going out?
You
It was
can't
like the whole
remember.
thing with, so are Billy and Paul and Todd all chummy with each other
It's
now?
not just
I don't
that.
know.
It's not just that they don't spend time with each other. It's that they fanny around so much beforehand. Are they? Will they? Won't they? Have they? Haven't they? Are they broken up? They're arguing.
Then it's solved
and then
quickly.
they get back
and then
together
you forget.
again, and then you can't remember. You remember they had an argument. And you don't remember what it was about, and you don't remember how it ended. But and now you're not sure whether they're shagging or not.
Yeah. Can you imagine, like, back in the day, like, going, are Bet and Alec actually going together? I can't remember.
Annie and Jack now.
Yeah, exactly. I
What's the
can't
relationship
remember what
there?
the status is there. Hilda and Stan, are they still together? Like, no.
Elsie and Alan now.
Yeah, maybe for a little bit of that one. Okay, right, Gemma, over to you for leftover stew.
I have been known to dole that out from time to time.
You have?
Yeah, on Wednesdays. Yasmin's excited because the Gazette wants to do a feature on the tackling food waste. And I think we mentioned this last podcast, but it does seem to me like they've just invented the Too Good To Go app.
Yes. Has anyone tried that based on our recommendation? It's good.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try it out when we go to Manchester. So don't try it out because you're going to take all the food off me. So anyway, the Gazette want to do a feature on how they're tackling food waste, and somehow they've come up with this idea last week, and they've this week have created a completely comprehensive and working retail website that sells food, which is like one of the most complicated things to sell because you have to sell it immediately.
It's right, Ardy was on the case.
Ardy's like,
Gemma.
don't worry, I know how to make apps.
I'm a youth. I know how to do this. We do coding at school.
We do this at school, yeah. This was part of my Young Enterprise project.
I did like how Ardy was in it today, but I still don't really get why he was there.
No.
But I appreciated it all the same. When they were sitting there at the laptop, it reminded me of the slightly hairy Kiwi scene from last year. It was the same angle.
Right, so they're tackling food waste. The Gazette wants to do a story, and they want to take a photo of everybody. Now, this is very familiar to me. And everyone wants Stu to be in it. He says he doesn't want to be in it. Let Stu not be in the photo, okay? Stop taking photos of everybody and insisting that everyone has a photo of everybody.
I did appreciate, I think I'm right in saying this, when we did our Instagram Live this week, there wasn't anyone saying, Gemma, we want to see you, Gemma, go in front of the camera.
I think some people may have done, but
well.
I just ignored that. Because I'm a Yeti. I can't physically appear on film.
But you're a potato.
Don't ruin it for me.
Potato Yeti. I'm particularly hairy potato.
Right, so
my wife, ladies and gentlemen.
she's a hairy potato.
I think
Do you
she's
know
lovely.
what? If I was a hairy potato, I would let you take as many photos as you liked because that's quite rare. I think I'd be proud of that.
Put you in the freak show, take you back in time to the 1940s.
Roll up to see the hairy potato woman. Hello.
She knows that.
I don't do tricks, I just sit here. Right, Stu tries to get out of it, but Yasmin insists. So she coaxes him to speed dial to talk to the journalist, and he talks about See, this is the other thing, right? If you don't want people to pay attention to you, don't tell an inspiring story about going from being homeless to being a chef and then helping your community.
He didn't really want to. They kind of leached onto him.
Oh, I don't want to tell everybody a story that makes me look particularly good, but as you've insisted, then let me tell you all about my rags to riches.
He wasn't being like that.
And then he gets the guitar out and he says, I didn't want to do this, but I can actually play guitar and I'm going to do wonderful. On Friday, it's the launch day for the new scheme, and Stu's worrying they haven't been published.
Are we talking about the Smoothway scheme or Debbie and Ryan's scheme
launch
at the moment?
Launch day, Ryan!
It's scheme launch day today, everybody. Leo's scheme to move over to Canada with Jenny.
So, it's for the food, Michael.
Okay, that's
Stu's worrying they haven't publicised it enough. He's scurrying around with leaflets and he's like, oh, people need food and they're not going to know that they can come and get it. Dev's looking at the news online and he gets a bit annoyed because all the stuff is just about Stu. And how great Stu is and about Stu's story. And Yasmin thinks, oh God, Stu's going to be mad when he hears about this because he didn't even want to be in it at all. And Stu comes to the pub after having spread the word about their scheme, and Yasmin shows him the article and he's really upset because he's like, I didn't want it to be about me. And Yasmin says, you should be proud, but he just looks worried. He goes back to the cafe for a cup of tea. Yasmin goes and finds him and says, I do get why you're upset, but you know, the other thing about it that maybe you're upset about is how the article said that we were all lovey-dovey. And Stu says that's the only thing that it's got right, actually. Aww. And then he sings her a song in the end. So he does. There you go, see?
At the cafe.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So they have the launch of the restaurant cheap food thing. Artie's there, and they're doing a countdown, and then this woman turns up, and she's mad. She's very mad.
It's Lucy.
It's Lucy, his ex-wife, and she's not very happy. She says, stop bothering Bridget. She doesn't want to talk to you. Yasmin, you've got no... I don't know who you are. I don't know how I guessed your name correctly. You've got no idea what you're getting yourself into with Stu. He's a murderer. As soon as she said this, I was like, we knew that she was going to turn up and accuse him of something horrible. Surely. Like, you knew this was going to happen.
Well, we knew that he told Bridget last week, I didn't hurt the young girl.
Yeah, I didn't do it, right? So you knew that she was going to turn up and accuse him of something. And I was thinking,
it had
right,
to be the ultimate crime.
It's either going to be something really heinous that he obviously didn't do, or it's going to be something not that bad that it turns out was all just a madcap misunderstanding and series of hijinks.
It turns out to be the former.
Yes. So he's murdered a girl. Mm-hmm. Charlie Walter.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a man with two first names. But no, it's a dead... Don't laugh, she's dead, okay?
It's Charlie like Charlie Jordan, not Charlie like Charlie DeMello.
Yeah. Not only is she dead, but she's covered in his DNA, which I didn't want to know about before the watershed. He's like, I can explain. I knew he was going to... Literally... As the scene ended, I was going to make a joke, like Stu going, I can explain. And he literally said that phrase.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I did go to prison, but I didn't do any of it. And Yasmin gets mad at him immediately, makes him leave. She doesn't know what to do with herself. Alia says, just go home. And Yasmin says, no, I need to talk to this Lucy woman to find out what's going on. I don't understand.
Hope I can find her.
She's a librarian. She didn't think to look this up. She just goes straight to the source. She finds this woman who's just hanging around outside the
gardens because the
buses
aren't running or something. Oh, yeah.
The tram stop going, oh, can't get away from here. And then she walks up to Lucy. Yasmin walks up to Lucy and she's like, stay away from me. And Yasmin says, excuse me, you can't just come up to me and tell me something like that and then expect me not to ask you any questions. So she explains. Stu came back from the Navy, got a job in a restaurant. A young waitress went missing. Found her body with his DNA all over it. Again, very mysterious. Stu confessed to having an affair with her and then killed her. And it broke Bridget's heart. And now, please leave me alone. Apparently, Lucy was fine with it. She's like, I didn't care, but it upset my daughter and I will not see her sad. So, Yasmin goes back to speed dial, dejected, tells Alia what's happened. Good riddance to Stu. She never wants to see him again. So
he was like Jeff after all.
Maintaining her air of completely flying off the handle and just not thinking, like just going 100% for everything.
There must be a simpler explanation to it. But I think this is the biggest bombshell that she's had to contend with so far in this relationship. Did you?
I'm just like thrilled that I've been predicting all along that he was some kind of evil pervert or something.
But he's clearly not, is he?
Well, can I just point something out? Like, I don't know how old... Like, hopefully he was young when this happened. Because if he's not, then he is still a pervert. Because he was having an affair with this...
Well, he had a daughter, didn't he? Bridget was still alive when this happened.
I know, but the thing is, Michael, many people have more than one child, so they definitely let parents shag after the first one.
Okay.
So he is allowed to do that.
Yeah, I kind of, as soapy and silly as this is, and the storyline had been, you know, not my favourite thing up until this point, this little revelation definitely made me prick my ears up a little bit more.
It was like, how is Corey going to write him out of, like, being responsible for this? Is this going to turn into a murder mystery?
Well, this is what I think. That this is kind of scratching that murder mystery itch for me.
Yeah.
And it's and probably I'll be left disappointed by it.
It will just be like, oh, she just fell over in a pile of DNA and drowned.
Pile of DNA? Why is there a puddle of Stu's DNA outside the back of the restaurant?
Any questions?
But
he really likes cooking.
But it's interesting the fact that he confessed to it at the time.
What a dumbo.
Why would he have confessed to this girl's murder?
Okay, I've been said a lot of stuff this podcast that I know that people are going to get mad because it seems like I'm the only one who says things wrong on here. You say whatever you like. But as soon as I say anything, I get pounced on by about 500 people.
I definitely do.
So I will just say, lots of people do confess to crimes that they didn't commit because of the way that they get interrogated or asked questions in a specific way. Or
so do you think it's like that? Because you are a murder mystery, true crime expert on this podcast.
Lots of people hate to hear this, but confessions actually not very reliable, actually. A lot of the time people will say they did crimes and they didn't do them.
It's like, was he trying to protect someone else?
This is the question. Like, yeah, was he trying to protect someone else? If so, who could it possibly be? I'm going to predict, twist is, Bridget did it.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Suicide?
No, Bridget, the daughter. She's the murderer.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. This is somebody else, isn't it? Yeah, maybe.
That's a joke, because that seems quite stupid.
I don't know, it could be anything. Did somebody... Oh, God, I've got hiccups. I just got hiccups. Did somebody else do it, some dodgy Rick Neelan type, and say, I'm going to kill this waitress, but I'm going to come and kill you if you don't say that it was me.
I'm going to kill Bridget.
Yeah, so it was you. Oh, yeah, maybe. He probably was protecting his daughter,
of course it's going to be something boring like that. Oh, I did it for my daughter, and now she won't talk to me. Oh, the irony.
I don't know I can't remember how long he was supposed to be in prison for, but... Oh, God,
for God's sake, will you stop doing that?
I'm not hiccuping. I can't help it.
You're not hiccuping and burping.
I'm hiccuping. I've literally got the hiccups. I can't help it. That doesn't happen very much on the podcast. So, yeah, I presume he's totally innocent. I wonder whether this is going to be a long-winded one or is it going to be dragged out forever. I'm excited by the prospect of a murder mystery thing, like I said, but I can't be doing with Yasmin wailing about being... I was wrong about him all along. I will never trust anyone again, because I've been fed up with that kind of side of Yasmin for a while. But what was annoying as well to me today is that he didn't get a chance to explain himself beyond it was all a misunderstanding. I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
It makes it sound like it's all a misunderstanding. She's not actually dead. I don't understand why people keep saying that she's dead. There had been ample opportunity for him to just say, within a few sentences, this is what happened. Yeah, this annoys me. Write her a note. This is what it is. But she would have ripped it up. This is what annoys me about stuff like this. It's like, if I was falsely accused of murdering somebody, and then someone said, "Oh, I've just found out that you did this," and I wouldn't just say, "Oh, no, I didn't do it." "Oh, you don't believe me?" Well, I guess I've done enough.
Hang my head in shame and then off I go with my tail between
I'd be like, no, listen, you got to listen to me. And I would make them listen, because I'd be like, listen, if you don't sit down, I'm going to kill you. So shut up, sit down and listen to me explaining this.
Do you reckon he's going to go back to sleeping rough again? And then he's going to come into speed dial the next day saying, is the free food still going? Can I have some, please?
Some onion bhajis.
I do not have a house at the moment. I don't know. I think that it's probably going to be solved very quickly, but... It's not
going to be solved quickly. It's going to be probably drawn out a little bit.
At least the pace has been picked up at least now. But before we move on, another great line this week was Dev talking about when he was doing his interview with the Favours, saying... for the first one he was saying Alahan, just with one L, which is just a funny way of delivering it, but then he said that Oh yeah, we're what did he say?
He says we're
net
going
zero.
to be net zero by 2017. She says, "Oh, you're going to be net zero by 2017," and he says, "Working towards net zero."
Yeah, something like that. That was very funny.
No, that was right.
He said we are net zero.
We're net zero company.
And she's like, "Tell me more." Then he says,
working
towards
it
net zero
by 2070.
Yes,
Finally got it. I think
it was hilarious.
It was funny when he did it.
It was definitely funny when he did it. Hashtag Kendi, everybody. So, I can't remember anything that happened in this. There was also the Jack and Alfie and stuff. Abby is going to have a party thing with Wendy and everybody later. Anyway, Peter catches Wendy on Monday morning and Ken having a bit of a smile at each other when she walks past. And Ken says, "Look, a lot of water's gone under the bridge now. We could be friends one day, you know, Wendy." And this is when Peter says, "Oh, Dad, a man and a woman can never just be friends." Ken catches Wendy in the street later and invites her in for a sneaky cup of tea together. And they have a lovely chat. Wendy's very apologetic. It seems to me to be a little bit of a retread of the scene that they had a few years ago, which was an excuse to look at a picture of Deirdre going, "Hello," and saying, "Wasn't Deirdre wonderful?" Did it feel a bit like that to you?
Yeah.
I don't know what else there was that we didn't get in the last scene, apart from M&S veggie lasagna for two. She sees herself out at the end and Ken looks like, "Yeah, had a nice chat there, did a good job." And Wendy then goes to see Abby for a bit, who's making fun of her. Well, she's just kind of teasing her a little bit about crazy, sexy Ken tension. So putting the idea into our head that maybe there is going to be a little bit more to that relationship. But the story absolutely falls off a cliff after that. And we're just left to our own imaginations about what happens there. So, I don't know. Ken and Wendy, Gemma, do you want to see it happen?
No, not really. Don't mind.
But
not gagging
what did
for
we
it.
think
I'm
about
like Ken.
What did we think about Ken and Claudia? Did we kind of accept that in the end?
Yes, I think I did, and I'm perfectly prepared to rewrite history if I didn't.
I don't. As much as Ken and Deirdre were an iconic couple, Ken's the sort of person that is more likely to be able to move on, and I don't necessarily like the idea where a former character is kind of sanctified. And I know that what happened in Anne Kirkbride dying so young was absolutely tragic, but if they want Ken to move on, then who are we to stop him? But just being with Wendy Crozier, is that a bit like spitting on Deirdre's grave? Maybe.
I don't have strong opinions about this particularly.
Do you have strong?
I remember when it looked like Audrey and Ken might get together and everyone was losing their minds.
Oh, everyone hated that, didn't they? Luckily that storyline disappeared. But I don't know, it's going too slowly to really care about. Gemma, finish us off with the summer holiday story.
You'll be happy, everyone, to know that Summer's robot is still being repaired. So on Monday, Summer's moping around on the sofa because don't forget, everyone, like I did, that she's now a PA at Underworld.
Yeah, you forgot the beginning of the week,
like,
didn't you?
What's her job? I was like, she works at the Roy, isn't she? Doing back buttering. No, Gemma, she's got a job as a PA. And already, next week, she's like, "It's boring, isn't it, job? So I don't want to do it." It's like, guess what, Summer? You got to do this every day now until you retire.
She's getting bullied by Beth.
Billy says, "Tough, got to go into work. And I've got an idea to cheer you up." No, Todd's got an idea to cheer her up. So he goes and talks to Aaron, who is working in the garage. And he says, "Why have you dumped her? Why did you cancel the holiday? Why did you do that?" And Aaron says, "Oh, I did it for a plot twist." He says it would have been, things were moving too fast. And Todd says, "Well, you've knocked her confidence and now she's sad." It's like, oh, I'm not responsible for her feelings. She's got to get over herself, hasn't she? She's got to learn to she's got to learn to have heartbreak.
If she's got any long-term future in this soap, she's got to get able to roll with it.
Surely she's learned to deal with this sort of thing when her dad died.
Yeah, it's exactly the same.
Not to be harsh. Anyway, later that evening, Summer's watching telly. Aaron buzzes up. He comes into the flat. He says, "Sorry about me being a dick. Didn't mean to break up with you. Want to go on holiday. I found somewhere better that we can go. Edinburgh." Because they've got a cancelled school trip that we can just... Not really. She goes, yeah, I love Edinburgh. And then they have a kiss. And then they start going, blah, 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 blah. And then Billy walks in like, oh dear.
They look like they're about to start bonking on the sofa.
Well, she actually seemed quite happy about it. It was before she was being reluctant, and she didn't like, him touching her, and she felt like this time she was actually more receptive. And then Billy comes in and ruins it. They have a little giggle. They watch telly. Billy goes to bed. I would not have left them alone. Summer tells Aaron that she thought about it, and actually I don't want to go to Edinburgh. I want to go to Barcelona again. And I promise I will talk to somebody about my problems.
Tell you who else was at Barcelona this week? Elle Mulvaney. She's on a cruise at the moment. And she's been to Gibraltar and Barcelona, and today she was in Marseille. Gemma's looking at me because my extra bit of story there is I'm pretty sure that my head lunchtime supervisor at school is on the same boat as her, because he's put in Facebook status updates, and he has also been to Gibraltar, and then he went to Barcelona, and today I saw that El Mulvaney had posted, I'm in Marseille today, and I went over to Facebook to look on his, and I was not posted an update today, and then within the next few hours it's like, oh, I'm in Barcelona. So yeah, I think they're both on the same boat together.
They're both in the same boat.
But he doesn't even know who she is, so I think she's safe.
Okay, that's the main thing, isn't it?
He's not going to be harassing her for any autographs or anything.
Well, I love Marseille. So
Marseille's great. Lucky. Love Marseille. French hate it.
Yeah, they think it's crap.
They think it's a scum hole.
Well, that's where we come from, so used to it. Now you've
it's
also
the Weatherfield of France.
You've also put in something from a different story here.
Oh yeah, I have.
Faye and Sally chat on the sofa. Faye says she thinks things have changed between her and Craig, and no matter what he says, he sees her differently now.
Oh yes, I forgot about that. I put that in the wrong place. Poor Faye. Maybe there'll be more of that storyline next week. I have nothing to say about Summer and Aaron because nothing really happened there, did it? So that was a bit of a damp script to the end of this.
Aaron is Robert Pattinson and this is Twilight.
He is quite Robert Pattinson, isn't he?
Every time I look at him, I just think he's going to sparkle in the sunshine. Don't go to Barcelona with him because it's going to show you up.
Yeah. Right, what are we giving this episode, this set of episodes this week, Gemma? Quite like Coronation Street this week?
I
Reminded why we're fans of this good show?
I thought there was some funny hijinks, some revelations, new character, great stuff. Maybe we're going to get rid of Leo. All in all, not too bad, I'd say. Maybe I'll give it 3.5 funeral ninjas.
Nice. No, I thought...
Obviously, character makers, Glenda.
Is it? You're going for Glenda, not Debbie. I was sure you that Debbie would be a shoe-in
before both of them, yeah.
Before today's episode.
Yeah.
I don't know whether,
maybe you're right.
She's made a great intro, but she was only in it for half an hour of the week. Can you be character of the week?
You've shaken my...
You can go for Glenda if you want to. You can
now I feel bad if I take it away from her because she's new. That's bullying. I don't want to do that.
She can take it. She's very confident. She wouldn't care.
No, she's got great lipstick.
She's Teflon Shuttleworth.
Debbie was great, wasn't she?
That's what the suit was made of. Debbie was great this week. But I don't know. You want to go for Glenda? Are you going to go for Debbie? Are you going to go for Ryan?
I'll go for Glenn. I'll keep asking.
You're going to stick with Glenda? Yeah. Fine. I thought this week was fab. Apart from the boring summer stuff and some of the stew stuff was a bit dull. I wasn't into the Faye story, but all of the bits that I wasn't really interested in made up a really tiny amount of this week. The Tim and Sally story I thought was good. The Sally kitchen porn website was hilarious to me. Everything about Glenda was fabulous. I loved all the Bistro shenanigans, as ridiculous as they were. Debbie is brilliant and the street need to keep hold of her. I love Ryan. He's severely underused recently, so to put him in the front and centre was just brilliant for me this week. I'm actually going to go higher than you this week, Gemma, and I'm going to be scoring this week's episodes 4 unresolved neurotic fixations out of 5. My character of the week... I think it's a really tough one, isn't it? Because leading up to today, I was thinking it was going to be Ryan and Debbie, and then Glenda just came and stole the show. But did she steal the week? No, I'm gonna put Debbie down, as despicable as she was, literally throwing Ryan under a bus for a scheme that she was very much responsible in some way for. I just found her incredibly entertaining to watch, from the quiff to the quick reaction to the lights going off, what we're going to do now, to the backpedaling and letting Ryan take it all the flack for it because it was just funny. Scurrying around, I think Debbie was wonderful this week. But if there's a lot of Glenda next week, and I don't know, when we had we've said with our 3 returns that we've had recently, Spider, Stephen and Wendy, they made a big impression for their first episode or 2 and then they disappeared off for a bit. So maybe this is all we're going to see of Glenda for the next month or so. I certainly hope not. But if she is going to be a major player next week, then watch out anybody else that wants to try and fight her for character of the week, because she's going to be a tough act to go up against. So yes, 4 and Debbie for me. Good week. Well done, Coronation Street.